Folks, hello, and we are live. Welcome to the Random Party Generator, RPG, for those that are playing along at home. And no, we did not distribute the Rob Conley bingo cards this time. We do apologize. We
I
will
don't
try.
mind the bingo cards anymore.
It's the only bingo cards we have.
Bingo away, guys. You know,
You know, we don't.
I got all my
we
shelf
need-
right here. Who knows
we-
when I'll pull something out?
Yeah, I know. We need to get new bingo cards.
We don't want you to pull something out, Rob. Just
We got to make AI one of the new spots on the bingo card.
yeah.
In any case, we'll get there, folks. Trust me. We'll get there. Hold your horses. Next to me, in the middle square. I feel like we're playing Hollywood squares. In the middle square is none other than Rob Conley and Mr. Bat in the Attic. Welcome, Rob. Tammy, thank you. Good evening. Next to Rob is none other than Tim Shorts. Although when I type it, it always comes out time as Tim will tell
You too. It's so annoying.
Yes. I don't know if it's like a spell check. I look back and it's like, oh, my blog post is titled "Time Shorts."
Right.
Okay.
I remember that one time, yeah.
Yes. Mr. Gothridge Manor himself. Below me, with the chubby Fonzie picture going on, is none other than Greg, the chubby funster himself.
Yeah.
And not the evil DM Vince Florio, but the other evil DM.
Shit, I got to change that now that you said that shit.
Yeah, Joe the
I haven't
lawyer.
given my name.
Yeah, you're sorry, but you're infringing on somebody's trademark. Don't get sued.
Might sue me.
Yes.
You're pretty evil, though.
Yeah.
Where the hell do I change the name?
Mephistopheles. There's a K5. K. Look at the lineup. We're looking at. We don't. By the way.
Trying to change the name. I clicked the wrong thing. Wait a minute. I clicked the wrong thing. I'm trying to change the name.
Yeah, I think you did. Oh,
yeah, wait a minute. There we go.
It's terrifying that he has such easy
we're ready
access to that.
Well,
I don't even want to know why.
When you have to, I was going to say something about but then I was like, maybe not. Maybe we should try to be PG-13 as best we can. Tianus, welcome. Terry, welcome. I'm trying to catch up to the yak in the chat. So we don't know. Here, this is how the sausage is made. 7:45, I put up the link in a secret Discord server that will remain nameless. People go on at 7:45 and they pop in and go, "What are we talking about? And who's showing up?" That is literally how the sausage is made.
That conversation started at 8:02 today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a problem.
It did, yeah.
And then it becomes, is so and so going to show up? Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. We don't. There's still at least one other who said, "Yeah, I'll probably be there." That isn't here yet, so we don't know.
Well, we have the time deficient Jackson, who's like every time we have to tell him what time zone because he gets confused. I don't know.
Why can't you just put the times in mountain time?
Yeah, math is confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If it's not military time, he doesn't know it.
That's right. Maybe that's what we should do for him.
Maybe we should play time in Thaco.
Oh, there you go.
Well, in Thaco, your time is -2. No.
Well,
Shit.
I got to say about Seiko, I was just shocked at the other day to hear Joe, the Mr. AD&D 2E and Features himself, that, I don't like Seiko. I'm tired of Seiko.
Pain in the balls.
You expect consistency from Joe?
No. What? He said, "Show up, motherfucker." Greg is like, "I don't know if I'm going to show. This is after spending a solid, 36 hours straight, him and Rob arguing. And I'm like, oh, I guess we got a topic, AI, for the show.
It happened
Friday.
one night for maybe 3 hours while I was not paying
hours.
attention to the TV while my wife was watching it.
36 hours straight. And
I know fingers is the devil's work.
She was watching Lifetime.
She was trying to catch up on Bosch, and I'd already seen those episodes.
Oh, well, I haven't seen the last season of Bosch, but And Rach has seen the first 2 seasons from the neighboring room because I watched the first 2 seasons. Yeah, but with my old setup with the computer in the room next to the bedroom, so she would hear me watching Bosch as she was reading her book and go, "Oh, what happened now?" And so she'd be like following along just from the audio, and it's like I don't want to go back and have to rewatch stuff that she's heard but not really seen. I don't know if I can do that. We're almost caught up on the Jack Ryan. We just did season 3.
Look, just start it up and then pick a fight with Rob about a topic of your choice.
Goad him into a
and
fight.
Just let it ride. I mean, it'll just keep it going.
Dude, when I was 14, I broke my ankle pretty bad in a couple different places.
You want me debating? You can't handle me debating.
This isn't A Few Good Men. This is
you can't handle
a medium number of men. Yeah, 4 old geezers and 1 middle-aged man. We'll give you the middle-aged, Greg. You
know, I qualified for the senior discount, much to my chagrin, last year.
Right. You really? You old fuck. Really? Are you serious?
Yeah, the cashier.
So if you end up beating him at the con, Joe, it'll be elder abuse.
And then I go, oh, snap. Does that mean I qualify for the senior discount? Yes, sir, you do.
Yeah.
And Kellyanne just laugh all the way home.
All right. So Rob, true story. I was still working. So we're going to go back to 2015 probably. So how many years ago was that? 8 years ago? 8 years ago, I'm out there with my niece. She's 4 years old. We are at Friendly's, and we get the check, and we've had the waitress before, and my check has a senior discount on it. And I see it. My mouth. Now, I think I was actually grayer back then. I was certainly more disheveled, and I think I was heavier. And I was looking at it. I'm like, and I had this confusion, and it wasn't the confusion of why did I get this discount. The confusion was, do I want this discount because it's saving me 15%?
Yeah.
But it means they think I'm fucking 65 when I'm still in my 40s. And Shannon's like the innocent kid. She's like, Uncle, what's wrong? I go,
grandfather, not uncle, grandfather tonight.
I'm like, they gave me a discount for what? For being old? Because you are old. but I'm not that old. Look, just got to explain it. So
and the cycle repeats for a new generation.
So
I used to hate getting carded for beer, and then when I was around 30, and they carded me once, I'm like, yeah, all right,
Yeah,
the little things, man.
Yeah, I got carded at like 35 at like a Fridays, and I was like, and I'm looking at the person that's doing this, and they carded, and I went to her, are you serious? She goes, oh, well, I card everybody, even like grandfathers. And then I was like, wait, am I a grandfather now? Is it
cool?
At 35. Like,
well, that kid wasn't winning that argument.
No.
And it's like, oh, geez.
I am starting to get people, the polite younger person holds the door open for the older person more and more these days. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I don't perceive myself. So I see an older person, I will open the door for them. It's still like an automatic reflex for me. Oh, there's an older person right behind me. I better open the door for them. And so it's so weird when it happens to me. It's like, no, I don't need this yet.
Well,
I hope I never need it.
See, but now, see, Rob, you know what it is, though, right? You do know why they're holding the door for you. They want to be on that good list for Christmas.
Self-serving bastards.
Oh, God.
Somebody told me, I forgot who. Somebody said, Rob, you stop aging around 35. You look the same way you did 20 years ago.
Well, keep it up.
I thought that was a little weird.
Good.
Yeah, well, I mean, being known Rob since high school and stuff like that, Rob did finally grow into his looks when he was in his 40s.
What the hell does that mean?
That means he looked like he was 40 when he was 17 or 18 years old.
Dude,
yes,
Tim,
if
you bring a high school photo album into the show, it's kudos. I will tip big.
You'll tip big.
I was convinced to buy beer twice, and they didn't card me.
Nice.
And the guy didn't even bat an eye. I didn't have to lie. I just went in.
The old to the OSR.
Actually role played it.
Yeah, it does. Pretty much.
And it wasn't much to role play. I mean, it just wasn't looking all nervous like a deer in headlights.
Oh, I bet you Jackson's taking his fucking old man nap before the show, and he just fell asleep. I bet you. That's got to be
that or managing people.
I doubt it.
You mean
that's
adulting?
That's what he complains about. I had to fire 3 people, and then
that's the best part of your job. What do you
go down and run the factory? Whatever.
He just does. He has to do work because he doesn't get reception in there to get his YouTube videos. So otherwise,
otherwise, we need Matt because I need to be able to like do my Rob show and tell and go, hey,
get on the game, show. Come on.
Hey, look, I put together my solo RPG box. And I got goodies in here.
Wait, I'm hearing Jackson's voice from somewhere.
I'm calling him on my phone. I got him on speaker near my mic. Get your ass in the show, man. What are you doing?
I'm taking a chick.
Get your ass in the show. We're all waiting for you.
All right.
Go get up from your nap. Take your fucking Geritol. Put your diapers on. Oh, he hung up.
Depends.
I am in my late 50s, guys. I'm not. I guess according to Perkins, I'm a senior, but I deny it profusely.
Profusely.
Eric,
so I have news of a gaming nature.
All right.
Minor news, but
all right.
I'll post it when I get the confirmation PDF done. But I wrote my last post on how to make the fantasy sandbox theory. I had to come up with a series of random tables and rumor tables, and now I'm going through all my posts, re-editing them, and I'm going to get them edited, maybe inflict those on you, Joe, if you're willing.
All right,
why not just have the AI do it?
And we're off, boys and girls.
In a minute. Hold my beer in a minute.
This is what the argument was for a day and a half straight. AI.
So
Rob
that will likely happen within a month.
Rob the Mountain versus the Chubby Funster.
But basically, I don't have to write new material. I just have to edit what I already got. And I have the graphics already done,
Been 14 years in the making, boys and girls. Not this fight, but his product.
Yeah, the first post was released in 2009.
Something else, dude. This is like the beginning of the OSR until half of them are dead. Who was reading that post back then? That's old fucks.
But here's an interesting statistic. So on my blog, you have stats, and if I switch to the all-time stat, my number one post by far is how to make the fantasy sandbox with 187,000 views.
Damn. Naked girls in there or something?
Is that a high number? I don't run the tubes like you guys.
It's huge mungus.
Especially for a blog, for an OSR blog, that's pretty good.
That is.
I mean, I think I only got
I haven't been blogging as much. In the last year, it's still got 12,800 views.
Yeah. That's something else.
That's pretty good.
Kudos, man. Good job completing that thing. At least you didn't pull a Robert Jordan. That's good.
Or Matt Jackson.
Oh, yeah, that's good thing I didn't die. I did that if that would happen.
See, you couldn't have made a Game of Thrones reference where the author is still alive. You have to choose the one where the guy killed off in the middle of it.
That's what I mean. At least he didn't pull a Jordan and die before he finished it. It's 14 years and we're waiting and nothing. Son of a bitch. I'll never be able to finish my campaign now. He died. Oh, shit. Yeah, so AI was the topic du jour this week.
Okay.
Shall we?
Well, actually, Spoopy makes a good point. Writers were striking in part because of AI.
Big time.
And actors are now striking.
Yep.
Likely because AI is going to take away. Hey, I want to see more Rocky movies, but I don't want to see 75-year-old jackass. No, probably 85-year-old jackass up there doing the moves. Well, that's okay. We'll get another actor to do everything, and then we'll just AI over Rocky Balboa's image, and then get the voice going.
They did that with Luke in the Mandalorian. I think a lot of AI shit in there, wasn't it, or deepfake AI, or some relation.
He's 77.
Yeah.
77.
Stallone.
Well, I didn't realize this is that one of the conditions the actors are asking for is what the background actors like you. If you're a background actor, they're just AI-ifying that stuff, and they're getting background actors to, they come in for scale. They might make $100 or $200. What they're learning is how to operate on a set. They might make contacts or connections. They're figuring out how the whole show business works. They might make a good impression on somebody, but they're going to AIify all the background people, and they're getting people when they sign a contract to do a movie. Let's say they have a low end part, right? And you want the money, you want your name and the credits for your first movie. They get you to sign away your likeness for AI purposes, and for what purpose? For just that movie? For remakes? For reshoots? For sequels? For 40 years later when they own your likeness forever? And you know what I mean? You become famous.
They will all in the worst case scenario, and if the person who gave away their likeness is on the ball, they will be able to recover it in 30 years.
Oh well, that's a great consolation, Rob.
So
they also get a free pretzel.
because in a fit of sanity, Congress realized that people at the beginning of their careers don't have leverage at all, so they'll sign contracts even if they aren't quite predatory. They're not what they get when they become established and successful. So there is a window built into Copyright Law Act where if you sign away your rights to your book, to your play, to your movie, you can recover it 30 years later.
Who gives a fuck after 30 years? You know what I mean? By then, you're our age, for fuck's sake. The
owners of Superman made some bucks because of it.
Well, your AI image now has been on Pornhub doing strange.
That was actually me, Eric. That was actually me. It wasn't my AI image.
Well, but I mean, if they own your image, then what else can people go? Hey, didn't I just see you on my computer screen?
Yeah.
No, that was me from 20 years ago. No, it's a brand new. Debbie does the whole Dallas Cowboys and the Houston the Rangers, Texas Rangers. It's like no, that's not that. I wasn't in that. There were 7 of you in that. Well, they all
3 of them were in you at once.
Don't worry, I get residuals.
Actually, guys, I'm a little disappointed about the hobby and the industry's response to AI. My now that I've played around with it for a while and got a sense what it's about, it's a random table generator. That's what it amounts to.
For now.
You mean
no? That's all
generator?
until they do something else, which this might be a component of it, but this is not it. This is a random table generator. No. In a nutshell.
When you say random, what you mean is theft that's so widely distributed it can't be monitored effectively.
Yeah, we'll get to that later, but
we're there right now.
It's a random table generator, very sophisticated one that has hundreds of tables that it's rolling on to get you whatever you ask it to do.
That may be what's in the background.
So, Robert, are you saying that people should do that instead of buying your products?
Oh, I'm saying it will work just as well. So
you're saying that I could pay you money,
you interrupted me,
or
Greg.
I could get the same thing for free.
We're gonna have to moderate. We're gonna have to moderate this like a presidential.
I think we're gonna need some theme music for this one.
Well, that kind of tactic.
Don't make me come over there. I ain't
Stop this car right now.
Yeah, I'll stop this live stream right now and beat the shit out of both of you.
Greg is mad because he said he might not make it. I said we're going to just call you a coward for chicken out of the Rob fight. So we got all wired up and came in. I'm hot.
No.
No.
Answer tap room. It can come close, but it's never an exact duplicate of the original. And the people and the researchers who managed to get close, and they had more success with the image generators. They had to really work at it to figure out the exact combination of prompts in order to get something that's even remotely close.
It's very hard.
Short, they kept rolling on the table until it actually rolled something that's close to one of the data that data sources it used. But if you look at the images they managed to pull out of it, there are dozens of differences between that and the original. They're not exact copies.
But you're focusing on the back end, Rob. That was the essence of the argument. The difference in your and Greg's argument is you kept focusing on the back end mechanics and nobody cares.
No, this is front end stuff, Joe.
But what's coming out of it, Rob, is I could type in, do a search in the create a picture in the style of, let's say, some famous artist who's alive right now, right? And boom, out comes the thing, and it's close enough or good enough that that's cool. They're doing it for music now, and they're producing songs. I think for Drake, that's better than Drake's own songs, right? And so you defeat the purpose of even having a creative existence. If the goddamn computer could do it better, they're as good as you.
So for the past 10, starting about 10 or 15 years ago, I started running the game store campaign, and one of the guys who played was a aspiring artist, and then he showed me where he hanged. I was interested one day. He showed me where he hanged out, and so I can't call this a scientific survey by any means, but I saw where like there was like 100 participants on this Facebook forum stuff, and half of them were all trying to sing in the style of.
Yeah.
They were doing it to practice. And these were definitely human beings. This was well before the AI stuff. So, Joe, what's the difference? If the human beings are already been doing this, they've been doing this for decades, and you're raising an objection because it's an algorithm doing it?
Yeah. Yes. Because, Rob, an algorithm, a computer, can take away a person's livelihood. Whereas if I'm going to practice to draw something in the style of, who the fuck was it who did Deathbringer? Where that guy is, right?
Haven't machines already done that, though? Haven't machines already done that?
Exactly, man.
Livelihood. I mean,
I
work in a factory.
I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying
I'm just saying.
A machine is taking away work, right? You swing a hammer, you put a nail in, or something like that.
Happens every day
in a factory. But yeah, I know. But what I'm talking about is creative endeavor is different than drudgery work. Creative endeavor adds something to humanity. Drudgery just adds to your fucking paycheck so you can pay your bills this month. See what I'm saying? It takes away from some aspect of being a human being. What did you say, Greg? That the future of creative endeavor in human beings or something like that? Greg.
Well, Greg's muted, so you might.
Oh, my bad. Yes, I was. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. The issue is that the machine cannot think. The machine can do. A machine can pick up a hammer and hit something with it. It's a real action, but the machine can't think. It can only steal the thoughts of humans that have already thought the thing. So you can make a really, really complex algorithm that breaks all the thefts into very small, tiny thefts all over the place. It's like I use the example of Office Space in our example. Yeah, we're going to take a little fraction of a penny from everybody, and then we're going to get pennies. And it's like, so it's stealing? No. We're not stealing. It becomes our money. No, that's not. It's not legit. It's not a legitimate way of doing it.
Except one problem: it's not stealing.
Well,
yes, it is.
No, it isn't, because you can only the copyright only gives you the right to your specific work, not the ideas, the procedures, the algorithms, or anything that's behind your work. It only gives you. Rob Conley only owns this specific work.
Right. So if
somebody else can come,
Rob,
you
just interrupted me the way you were complaining about me earlier.
You're right.
Rob.
You're right. But I have an excuse.
If I make 400 versions that are in Rob Conley's style of that exact book and release them for 1 penny until you can't possibly release anything that would seem like a unique Rob Conley thing, that is totally wrong. Now you can say, "Oh, well, it's not technically illegal because of blah blah blah." It totally violates the spirit of all sorts of laws.
Oh, so we're talking about the spirit of the law.
I'm going to step in here because I think that Don from West Tower Games has a good point, but it brings it to a different level. As a game company, what happens to all those artists who helped me when I started? Do I turn my back on them now since there is AI? So it just takes it not from is it legally correct? is it morally correct? And I think that we are at cross points here because Rob is arguing the legal aspect, and
And
Greg
the tech, exactly.
Greg
Exactly.
is coming at it from whether it is a moral thing or not. And as those of us who have been involved in the law, in any case, Joe, myself, law and morals, law and justice are not always on the same page.
Nope.
What is legal? You might go, "Holy shit, that's legal." Well, that shouldn't be illegal. That's not morally right. So that's where this disconnect is. Now, personally, do I think that AI can be used as a tool? Certainly. I like to hop into ChatGPT and get prompts to design magic items or encounters, and then riff off that. Certainly, but or how Alice Peng, she does some amazing like superhero art where she uses, was it my Mid Journey, and to get base, and then she goes in and then she puts her own finishing touches on it. She makes it something that was it was an inspiration, and then she made it her own creation. I think that's where the line gets crossed. If you're taking AI as the final result, and that is what you're presenting as, hey, AI wrote this book, AI did this art, and that's what you're presenting.
It didn't. I totally see where you're going, Eric. But the point is, just because the algorithm is so opaque that no individual human can possibly conceive the size of the data set and everything that's going on, it doesn't mean it's still not stealing people's work. We don't know because we don't even understand how the algorithm really works. You can't see the algorithm taking a sentence out of Matt Jackson's book and putting it in, taking a sentence from Tim's book and putting it in, taking a sentence from Rob. But it happens at such an enormous scale. With how many books have you totally memorized so that you can look at an output and go, oh, it didn't steal that? Okay, like it's operating at a level that is beyond human comprehension as an individual. So Rob's like, well, it goes into, that's not what it's doing. You have no idea what it's doing. It's operating at magnitudes of thought that humans could ever have. It's thinking about 10 million things at once and putting all sorts of stuff together. It's not doing it the way a human mind works.
And I look at the moral outcome. I mean, Rob is focusing on a lot. If I could just summarize, it's like the technical aspects on the back end plus the laws as it exists today. Excuse me. My take is that the law, there is not enough law to cover this. You can't extrapolate from existing law to cover what is going on with AI to protect people. Now, the legislature is too cowardly, as always, to actually do something about it because they're a bunch of idiots too, and they couldn't understand it anyway. And their funders are going to say whatever works for my business, so they're going to be screwed. That means we're going to be screwed. So AI is probably going to be a thing that won't be legislated. It might be ruled on by the judiciary, and that's where you get into the morality, because they're not going to give a shit about the back-end mechanics, and they're going to have to extrapolate some nonsense on the existing law to come up with an answer to say what's right or wrong. But what they're going to say is an argument. They're going to say, find me an argument that fits my point of view to make it this way. That's how they're going to come up with it, because it's so fucking fuzzy. You can make any argument you want under the law about it, right? You could find anything, and you could argue anything. And so what you're going to come up with is judiciary deciding whether AI is good, bad, legal, illegal, way too goddamn long after it's out of the chickens have left the roost. You know, that's what I think.
The horse is out of the barn.
All right.
Yeah, Rob,
I have three.
Chair recognizes Rob Conley.
Yes. Well, I mean, let's hear from Matt, because we've heard from Rob already. Let's hear from Matt. Matt he had his hand up too.
There were some specific points I'd like to answer.
Yeah. Well,
Matt can go first.
I'm curious.
And Tim, for that matter. You two.
So, on a very basic level, I'm not talking law or anything like that. Everybody knows who Bob Ross is, right? And I know Greg is going to have a major issue with this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it.
I'm going to take my magic white, and I think a little white rock lives over here.
Right. So when Bob Ross was alive, they had Bob Ross studio classes, and people would go and learn Bob Ross's methods, and they would produce paintings, not as good probably, but very similar, using his exact techniques. at a very basic level, isn't that exactly like you're saying? It's just a bunch of tables that are connected with similarities and various little nodes that connect all those tables together. Like you're saying, it's taking a sentence from my book and a sentence from Rob's book and building it. Isn't that sort of what we do mentally? I mean, we categorize everything that we memorize, like vegetables. Those are all vegetables. These are all flowers. And we are, yes, and I'm not going into the creative aspect. I'm simply saying the mechanics of how we create things is very similar, at least from my understanding, how AI is doing stuff. It's generating tables worth of data and relationships between those tables to generate stuff in a certain way. So like if you were trained in Bob Ross's school of painting, your paintings, they may be yours, but they would have lots of aesthetic similarities. Whew, sorry, I was at work. I'm on lunch right now. It's fucking with my brain. Aesthetic similarities to Bob Ross's art. Now there might be other stuff. Maybe you studied Monet, so it's a combination of those things. But when I go into Midjourney and I say, I want a painting of a mountain in the style of Bob Ross and Monet, guess what I get? A conglomeration or a conglomerate of those different styles that create something. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going into the creative, but I wonder if there's any validity to the way I'm thinking like that. Like the way we create minus the creative spark, because there is that. And I do think that it's sort of, I alluded to it. You guys kind of ignored me when I talked about the divine spark of creativity, but really, is your creative spark really out of thin air, or is it a relationship? I don't know, a connection that you've, like when Rob is creating his game world, is it really all original ideas, or is it a mix of 1,000 different ideas that all are relationshiply connected somehow, or something like that? That was all I was going to say.
So my 3 points are: I'm a computer professional. I've been developing software since I went to college for computer software engineering, and yes, I understand what they're doing. I read their papers on it, and they're not piecing together sentences. What they are is they're creating sentences out of statistical relationship. Their databases are not large enough to contain the actual works themselves. If you compare the total file size of all the books that they supposedly use and compare to the file size to the database they use, it is considerably smaller because they figured out how to capture the unique patterns that go into text, or in the case of images, the relationship between different pixels in various styles. Number two is as far as putting people out of work, the future isn't going to be about putting people out of work. The future is going to be those who refuse to use these tools versus human beings who do use these tools. It's still going to be people versus people. It's not going to be AI versus people.
Yeah.
And I work in industrial automation, and that's what and I have my company, one of the machines my company has, it's not just a little bit better than what they do in by hand. It's like 1,000 times better than what they do in the hand. And it has not put one person out of work. But what it does is it allows them to compete far more effectively and take on far bigger jobs than the other would be able to handle. And then the last thing, if we're going to make an so I make a lot of I'm a legal, I like the minutia, the legal stuff. But if you want to talk to moral, then the moral side of it, then I will put to you, and I'll put to everybody listening to this, that copyright is immoral. Copyright is a form of censorship. Copyright is a monopoly granted by law optionally for good purposes I would like to see happen. But the reality is the people with the money, the people with the resources like Disney, uses the club to bludgeon us and deny us our common cultural heritage. I just don't say it because the law is totally against me on that point of view. So I just pick that away with my advocacy for open license. But when it comes down to the brass tacks, Greg, nobody is stealing nothing. It all belongs to all of us. And Matt is absolutely right, except he missed one little point, and that is when we make something. When I made this, it's yes, I stand on the shoulders of everybody who went before me. Edgar Riceborough, J.R. Tolkien, Gary Gygax, but also contained it is my spark as well. It is my spark isn't solely responsible for it. Now there are a few instances where somebody is just so on the ball, so on the top that they really come up that it's like nearly almost their original work. I would say tabletop role playing is one of the few things, an example. Dave Arrington figured out, you know, but even he wasn't doing enough. But between all those guys working up, they really truly came up with something new. And there's been artists and sculptors and playwrights who have done something so mind blowing that it just enriched us all. But you're making a moral argument that that is stealing, Greg. Well, I challenge you to say the copyright is immoral in itself.
So your argument that it's not stealing is that theft is perfectly fine in all across all circumstances. So you're saying it's not theft to directly copy somebody else's work.
It's not theft. You are still left with what you had in your imagination. You can still write more. It's not theft. You're not.
It is
Rob, I'm sorry. You just crossed over into a dream world or something where I could write a book and Eric can totally copy it and publish it as his own. And you think that's not theft? I don't know how to even respond.
Yes, you don't, because you've been brainwashed. You've been brainwashed.
Wow.
Well,
boom.
Rob, I'm gonna break some news for you right now. Don't be offended. Other 5 people in this virtual room probably going to disagree with you on whether or not that is theft. Now, I'm gonna bring up an example. All right, the OGL allows, if you open up your content to the OGL, the Open Game License, it allows people to repeat your work verbatim. And in the early days of James Bond's career, when he was writing for Labyrinth Lord, he wrote all these classes for Labyrinth Lord. And when he had about 22 dozen classes out, a third party from nowhere who has no skill of their own went and republished all these classes verbatim with new art, with new layout, on a drive-through for half the price that James was asking for it, because it was open game content and feel free to use it. Now, drive-through, when it was brought to their attention, removed it. Now, technically, it isn't theft, right? Because it's open game content. It's up to do with what you want. Somebody wants to take Swords and Wizardry core rules, which are totally open game content, and call it Jackass's rules for gaming, and leave all that content the same. Technically, it isn't theft. Is it immoral? I would say yes.
I think it's not. It's not immoral. But
I would
on
like
the other
to
hand,
announce my upcoming Majestic Wilderlands book.
I have a.
Go ahead. You're going to run afoul. But if you want to steal my Black Marsh, if you want to steal, by your definition, my Black Marsh and try to make a better version of it, go ahead, Greg. I released it as 100% open content. I don't just talk the shit. I do the shit.
I can't even go there.
Yeah, it's so the amount of reframing to even address the fact that you shouldn't be able to just directly copy somebody else's writing. I don't even know where to start. I'm sorry.
Oh, Greg, have you copied the Iliad? Had you copied the Odyssey? Why is it okay to copy those work? Why aren't we tracking down the heirs of Homer?
Well, copyright.
Why aren't we paying the people of Greece?
Well, copyright does expire, and that's fine, and it should expire a lot sooner than it does. You can go thank.
Yeah, I would actually agree that it should expire earlier than the Disney standard.
Well, what makes 28 years so special?
But it shouldn't be that I write something and then. Hey, Rob writes Black Marsh, and Eric comes along 2 months later and goes, "Hey, White Marsh, bink, everything's the same. But I'm going to change the title," and I start distributing it. I don't think Rob would be all that happy that I did that. Now I could be wrong. Maybe Rob would think that imitation is the greatest.
No, I would mock you
But it's not even
incessantly.
imitation.
I just wouldn't grab my sword up that's hanging behind me and club you over with the copyright, with the copyright blows.
I got a sword. I protect Eric.
But as far as Drive-Thru RPG taking it down, that's their right. I mean, it's their business, and if they don't like the fact that somebody copied James Spawn's work, even though James gave explicit permission to use his content, that's fine. It's their business.
So sorry, James. I'm only catching up to James. But actually, had no idea you were watching, James. Like, hi, James. So when SJP was literally copy pasting Byrider Games products and selling them on the store as if their own, that wasn't theft, according to Rob.
Correct. It sounds like.
I mean, you know, there's a moral line. If you have, isn't Black Marsh open content?
Yeah.
So technically, somebody could go and republish it, and
yes, they can.
It's a free product.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of vulnerable right now because I'm writing so slow. I don't have a lot of, long tail out there.
I want to know what happened to the other Rob, because I would never have suspected Rob to come at this angle.
Well, here's the other thing that you're missing the point is I'm not just this one-dimensional Rob thing, copyrighted wrong. I acknowledge the fact that if I'm the practical solution is a limited term copyright, like the old 28 years plus 28 more years if you renew it. That seemed to work back. I in an ideal world, I wish that wasn't so. But I don't live in the ideal. I live in the real world, okay? And the real world says that people are more apt to produce more material if they have the exclusive right to copy their stuff for some number of years. I don't think it ought to be life plus 95 years, but if all five of you say, Rob, how about 56 years? I would say, fine, let's make it 56 years. But if you're going to make a moral argument with me, that's my morality. Okay, I share my stuff freely because I know exactly how much of it I rest on the shoulders of others,
and that's fine. But here
I am contributing. I think it's immoral not to contribute back that which you take.
Fine, John makes a good point.
As far as James goes,
I wrote a 200,000 word fantasy novel. Took me 4 years to write. So someone should be able to take it for themselves. I mean, if the work is all unique, then shouldn't, like Rob, if you're saying that you built your work off of Matt Finch's Swords of Wizardry, understandable. Okay, you write your own unique game which has no direct links to anybody who came before you, and you're not using the open game license. You can make your own open license for it.
Sure,
but if you wrote a book, 200,000 word book, novel, should somebody else be able to build off, not even just build off your stuff, republish your stuff? I mean, that's, again.
I plan to make everything I make open content.
But Rob,
But Rob, that's not your job. Either if I was using AI to totally reproduce everything that you were doing at your job, and then distributing it for free, here's the shapes that Rob coded into the thing, distribute them for free. Here's all the programming, distribute it for free. At some point, you couldn't make money.
Yeah,
that's why you run a Kickstarter. That's what
you're going to kickstart your machine tool business. What are you talking about?
What do you mean my machine? There's no machine tools are not about copyright.
You're using a machine tool to make things. Am I right? Using programming?
Your analogy.
That's my understanding of your job. Is that you program a machine tool which then cuts metal? Is that not? Am I missing the basics?
No, I
of your
write
job?
the software that other people use to program the machine tool to cut metal.
Okay, so we added a
and
few
yes,
intermediaries
business,
who now will also not get paid.
Open source.
What do you? I mean, so you're saying it's okay for someone to steal all the mental work that you're doing and just just duplicate it? You're
I
totally
don't view it as theft, Greg. That's the part you can't get through your head. I don't view it as threat.
I don't think we're in reality. I think we're in the Matrix, but that's not a logical argument that we can use to settle disputes.
It is, because I took from the common what every human being on the planet did with computer science. I developed that. I added my own creative spark into it, and it's my moral obligation to contribute it back.
All right, but Robert, isn't everybody else's moral obligation to
Yeah.
back?
Yeah, we don't share the same morals.
All right, I mean,
I understand that you share the same morals. I'm not asking you. I am telling you what my position is. What you do with that information is up to you, and I will respect other people's point of view. I will not, unless there's a license out there that allows me to copy. I am not going to go out there and copy people's shit.
Rob, that's like saying I'm not going to murder anybody, but I don't think there should be any rules about murder. That should be a personal decision or some shit. Like we have to have some rule that governs how you manage the property, manage intellectual rights, and so on. I mean, you can't just be like, well, if you feel like stealing, it's okay. I'm just not going to choose to steal. Like, there has to be some kind of order to structure the work, or else people you might not steal, but everybody else could just steal, and then you're fucked. What are you talking about? I don't even
mind if I add something here?
Please,
Tim.
All right,
please, Tim.
Okay, because Rob and I have had this discussion through the years and everything, and I understand where Rob's coming from on his position, and I don't agree with Rob's all the way position, but I understand where he comes from, because like Rob kind of explained it to me one time about that made more sense to me for the copyright issue. This is just doesn't have anything to do with the AI. This is a copyright issue where, because of some of the copyright laws these days, we have songs and writing that get lost in the vapor of copyright that can never be, you can't get it back again, because there's no next of kin to go to. There's not, to get that permission. It just kind of gets lost and nobody can do anything with it during that time. Now, I don't agree with Rob about not having copyright, not at all, because just as much as big businesses uses it as a club like Disney, Disney's going to take whatever it has and make it vile. But it also is a tool for us little guys to protect ourselves. We need that protection too if we don't want to go Rob's route. I commend Rob for doing his open content. He's very open with this, and that's why he's got so much goodwill. I mean, anybody out there who knows Rob knows he's a generous guy. He has gone out of his way to, help. He's the one who basically kind of pulled the with that City State Kickstarter out of the shitter and everything. Without him, we'd have nothing. Rob kind of took that on his own. Should it be reduced? Absolutely. I don't think that, I think there's that middle ground. Unfortunately, sometimes when our arguments, we kind of go from one side to the other kind of thing. And we got to, there's a lot of space in between there. And that's where I think where it's at. And like with Rob, he has that, like, I can't remember, someone mentioned it in there earlier. You have the Creative Commons or whatever. You can release your, everybody has that personal choice of releasing their stuff to everyone, making it open content.
Making it open.
And if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. No one should make that choice for you, though. That's what it comes down to.
And James, this is the part, and I'm speaking to James right now. This is the part.
Hey, Rob, shut up.
Okay.
I wasn't done yet, bud.
I accept your correction.
The other thing with the AI stuff too, just kind of adding that, because I know I'm the quiet one a lot of times. But I mean, AI, come on, guys, it's a train on the tracks. It's coming down. It's coming down whether we like it, whether it's not. Yep. It's on the tracks. The only thing we have to do, and I think it was, I forgot who mentioned it. Wizard Tower Games. Dawn's was his first name, right? So
what, Wizard? Yeah.
So Don would mention about turning his back on original artists and stuff. I kind of run the zine group on Facebook and everything, and that became a big discussion on there. And one of the things that became at that time is almost an identifying mark on your zine, whether you used AI or not AI. Do I think you should have to do that? No, I don't want anybody. I don't want to have to decide that for anybody. Everybody should do that. But I know when I make my zines, it's not going to have AI artwork. I'm not going to make that a decision whether it's moral, immoral, or anything like that. I just know I can make the choice and saying I'm not going to have it. And some people will either appreciate that or they'll just say, maybe I'm being a curmudgeon. And I mean, that's we all have to make this individual choice on what we're going to back and what we're not going to back. And I think what people have a hard time, and I think maybe it's personally why I have a hard time with AR, with the art and the writing, is because it's not manufacturing. It's not a thing. We're going into the creative aspect, and that's kind of what makes us human. I mean, now it seems like they're kind of creeping into the creative aspect of stuff. So I mean, I think that's the most difficult part.
Well, that's what the argument that Greg made, and I was kind of bowing to inevitability, but I was, like you were saying, Tim, I was like, yeah, whatever, probably use it, blah blah blah. Yeah. But when Greg made the comment about it's only the future of human endeavor, I'm like, fuck, you put it that way, it's because it's humanity. It's a humanity issue. It's what makes us human, and you're gonna let the computer take over for that? No, because people are.
But like somebody made in the comments earlier, just because AI is creating doesn't mean we're going to stop.
Right.
I mean, humans are still going to create,
but a lot of the
going to be those that refuse to use AI or hang AI in their office or in their living room, and they will only want something that was done by a human with a brush. Humans are not going to stop creating. It's
but a lot of part of the poor people will, Matt. The people who have a time, they have to decide. I got 3 hours.
Welcome to human history. I mean, that shit has been happening for 2,000 years.
Oh,
I mean, there used to be a time when the dude down the street would twist his little printing press and make a book for that neighborhood or that district, the little newspapers. But technology over time will get rid of that kind of thing. But you're still going to have people that create stuff. It's not going to go away completely. Oh,
right.
Mickey's on his toys. I got him.
I hear him.
Can I say something now?
I'm sorry, Rob. I just wanted to finish that point. Yeah.
I have trouble hearing, and
I know.
I mistook your pause. So James, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name behind Wizard Tower's game. Don. I don't believe in piracy whatsoever. I mean, the rule when I license stuff from Judges Guild, I follow all the rules to the T, because that's the agreement. I believe in voluntary participation. If your situation where you feel that open content license isn't for you, and for anybody listening to you, if open content license is not for you, I won't condemn you for it. I won't criticize you for it. I might have this idea, but I realize that in today's world, with how our markets work, that the best results for everybody concerned, so people can feed their families and all that, is to have some kind of copyright going on. We might debate how long it needs to be. But please do not extrapolate my position like I advocate piracy. I know assholes who do that, and I am not one of them.
Well, James says, by your abolition of copyright stance, piracy would be literally impossible because all content would be completely open.
Good point.
Right. But so I would have to say in my defense that if we were actually to sit down and abolish copyright, did not consider all the impact of saying, let's get rid of copyright, would be foolish. We have to. And since I had this debate numerous times, my position is if I was in Congress making laws or legislature, I would push for a measure. I would push for two things. I would push for copyright small claims court Because the problem, James, is one of your personal works, if somebody tries to copy it and stuff, you don't have a lot of resources unless you can prove that you suffered damages more than $5,000. Now, you may have suffered damages more than $5,000, but I know a lot of people who are only suffered damages within hundreds of dollars, and they got no recourse. And they need a recourse. We need a small claims court that it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to go get our cases heard. And second, I would, all the economic evidence shows that when done with limited time, whatever, Greg, would show that, having copyright for limited terms work. And then if that's the case, then I would respect those terms. Absolutely.
Don says if we abolish copyright, large companies like WotC will have the money to make things cheap and simply steal all the games and outsell every small publisher and dominate the market.
Well, that would have been true in 1980, but I'm not sure that's going to be true going forward. But I am not so certain that that's going to be the case because this internet stuff is still so relatively new. But the fact of the matter is our ability to reach an audience has never been greater. I'm not saying we're going to have audience in the millions, but we can make a living these days off an audience of thousands. So that's something that really never happened in human history before. So it remains to be played out. But I think what's going to happen, yeah, James, that's, $1,000 is a shit ton of money in our industry. That's why we need a small claims court, and we don't got one. All we got is the DCMA, where we can tell you, take that shit down. But that didn't give us money for the losses that we incurred.
But still, we should definitely trust the legal solution on this because it'll work out this time.
Don't even talk to me about legal solutions right now.
I know, it's crazy. I think this is all a moot point anyway because there's going to be a huge lawsuit that finally settles, and it's going to establish precedents, and then it's going to make more lawsuits that settle on the line of the new precedents, and it's going to enforce everything. It's not going to be just free for all, do whatever you want for very long. And once it is settled, and I believe it will be settled against AI, because all of the big companies have already started blocking their own people from even using it because they're terrified that their own stuff is going to get put into the general AI. They don't want it out there. Apple won't. If you work for Apple, I read you can't even install it on your personal computer. They'll fire you. They don't want anything about Apple going in there, and they don't even want things that you might not realize you're revealing about Apple to go in there. They know that there's going to be a huge settlement. I work on some stuff for work. I'm going to keep it kind of general here, but imagine you're writing something for a medical device, and you add AI to it to advise the customer about how to use the medical device. And the AI goes on the internet and gets the wrong information and gives it to the customer, and they die. You're screwed. Okay, your whole company will be deleted by the attorneys that set on you like jackals. No company that has serious skin in the game wants that to happen to them. They're not going to have anything that they make going into this stuff because they don't want the liability of it.
Don't we already have it running on like Microsoft and Google and
in limited ways?
We're going to make it part of Office now.
Yeah, that'll be true up until Microsoft ceases to exist when they get served with a $4 billion legal judgment. I mean, whoever ends up paying the damages on this shit is going to be deleted. I mean, it's going to be massive.
I think the other fear of it, Greg, is not just that they're worried Apple's worried about their own content ending up in generative AI. I think it's that they worry that these employees will use AI whose legal status is not yet known, right? Product of AI, it's still going to be fought out in court. So if you generate some Apple product that makes, $1 billion, and then later you find out, oh yeah, I used AI for most of that shit for the programming or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah,
and AI seems to be illegal. Next thing you know, Apple's got $1 billion lawsuit against you.
Actually, there's another wrinkle. Yes, Greg, you're right that a lot of companies do that, but what you're not reading is the technical journals that I read. And the concern there is not so much there's some concern. They talk about the legal exposure, but the real concern is what Joe called it, generative AI. It's a random table. They know it's a random table. And so the application for something that's a random table is limited. Even if, I mean, there was a case where a legal case that just happened, and the lawyers were busted for using ChatGPT to write their brief.
Their brief, he just cited shit that didn't exist.
Right.
Because AI didn't know the
article,
difference.
yeah.
AI doesn't have a standard of veracity.
They call it hallucination, and as far as everybody who's on the up and up knows that the hallucination problem is not going to go away. It will be minimized at the best, but even then, it's going to be you just can't rely on generative technology because of the hallucination problem. You can do it for certain things, but it's only the first step in any process. Like, for example, Marvel Secret Invasion has an AI sequence. So I went up and dug in and see how they created it. Well, it turns out, yes, they didn't commission artists to draw the initial images, but they had a team of artists taking all those images, massaging them to create that sequence. They didn't just take the raw output and used it. They couldn't. It doesn't work it wasn't usable in that form.
Well, see, like now, listen, we're talking about the lawyers that gave a new level of incompetence and laziness to lawyers. Thank God my legal team is pretty good. They're no complaints. But here's the thing, right? That's just showing you how human nature, by definition, is going, hey, I can get this artificial intelligence to do my work for me, and I can sit back and play video games. Holy shit, I can take a nap. I can go to the bar, knock down a few drinks, and AI will write out my brief for me. And it's happening now.
That's human nature.
With AI in its infancy.
Yes.
And we're talking about listen, give them another 2 years. AI will be able to do a brief and not fuck up with going, oh, this doesn't exist. It'll go through the actual law and start pulling up references that when my lawyers do it, I go, holy shit, how did they find that shit? AI is going to be pulling it out and going, ba-ding, and it's going to be as good, if not better, than you'll pay. These law firms will pay for a specific AI that will draw up their briefs. You're gonna have it's already out there. There's already AI. If you want a writing assist, you can go and sign up for an AI that will massage your work to look better. If you are writing like Dave Johnson, I throw that name out there if you want to see him. But if you can get AI and possibly make it palatable. Well, if your work is already palatable, maybe it brings you up to that next step where you can actually make some money publishing your work. Is it your work? Well, AI rewrote it and made it 30% better. We might not be there now, but look where we were, all of us, where we were. I was impressed with the fucking calculator that was solar.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Oh my God, a calculator I don't have to plug in or use batteries with, and I can fit in my pocket. Oh my God, not that big thing on the desk that you were chunking away at. And then we had like handheld video games like Game Boy, right? Now we've got pocket computers in our phone. Yeah. Where do you think we're going to be 5 years from now?
Look at it this way, Matt. When they invented the abacus, I mean, what was your reaction when you saw that shit happen? I mean,
that's the finger he uses to push the beads.
Yeah, the abacus. Abacus.
By the way, I think except for Greg, I am the baby in the room. So fuck yourself, Joe.
You're not. You're older than me, old.
To answer Don's question,
like your age in our private chat.
I think if the courts find that doing the statistical analysis of a work of art is a derivative work, thus mean so. Under copyright law, you're not allowed to sell a derivative work based off of somebody else, unless you have a license. If they consider a statistical analysis a derivative work, then in order for AI arts to generate it, they can only use the public domain or open content.
I think that what Eric was getting at before with the laziness factor in human nature. I mean, you got people who are just going to think they're an artist because they could type in the right prompt to get a book or get a painting or get a song or something like that. And I'm an artist. I'm a prompt artist. It's like when synthesizers came out. And people.
Well, hold on, Joe. Have you used AI?
Huh? Yeah.
Have you
yeah.
used it?
I did it one time. I logged into ChatGPT, whatever the fuck.
So hold on.
Yeah.
So just at a basic level, you're using a tool to create art. And I'm not saying you're skilled like, I don't know, Monet or something.
I mean,
but it's a tool used to create art, just like ink and a paintbrush.
But there's no skill or talent.
Go back to 15 years ago when everybody started doing digital art, and all the real artists were like, "Oh my god,
I mean, Matt, all I did.
Camera."
Now I know digital camera and all that shit. It's always the thing. I had argued with what's this? Greg
it's just going to be another type of art. It's not.
Yeah, but the problem is that it deletes a lot of the profit motive. And to go back to greed is good.
Well, that's a completely different issue. It's still art.
Let's see. Let's take this example. Okay, like right now, almost all of the medical research in the world is being conducted in the United States. Because in the United States, you can make a profit off of it. If you invent something in Canada, you're not making any fucking profit. So all the people who want to invent medical devices and shit come to the United States. All right. So now imagine you change it so that you can't make a profit in the United States either.
Hold on. That's not true.
Doctors aren't going to be inventing a whole bunch of stuff when they're not going to make any extra money off of it.
What you just said is not true. I worked in the medical device industry. And there are medical devices made all over the world. Go to India. Shit ton are made in India.
Have you looked at patent lists, Matt? The vast majority of patents for medical anything are invented in the United States.
There's a reason.
Whoa. So you're taking a guy who works. You're taking a patent list over a guy who works the industry.
Matt works in the medical industry.
He did.
I don't now, but I did. Yes, and we did business with Russia, Pakistan, India, Iran, Korea, Malaysia, Japan. I already said Japan.
They're manufacturing a lot of those things over there. But
you just said they don't make them over there.
He meant invent them.
They don't invent them over there. Indonesia's not popping out new medical treatments like gangbusters.
Come on, you want to invent them in the United States so you have protection.
Some of the research is done over there. I'm telling you. I paid for research in India and Korea that was used in products made in some of those countries and sold. They want to sell them.
You can make a profit here. Yeah, they're not selling them.
I'm not arguing that. You're just saying that everything's
Matt, my point is the reason why this stuff gets invented is because people can make a profit. Okay, there are individual buildings in the United States that produce more medical research than entire European countries. Okay, it's definitely a thing. Okay.
Well, I can tell you,
if we can eliminate that profit motive, then we can stop all of the process of advancement on our technology. It's ridiculous. Why would you want to make it so people who invent things don't get paid?
Because there's other money involved.
Magic money from AI going to die. Something.
Well, you keep saying like regulatory stuff is going to come in and crush AI. I'm going to go against you and say, no, it's not, because big money is involved. And
I agree with that.
They can make money.
Yeah.
And they're going to stop anybody that tries to stop them from making more money.
I agree.
Oh, well, that's definitely a future we want, right, Matt?
What I'll add to that, because
I'm not saying I want it, I'm just saying the truth.
What I'll add to that is that they will be, I agree that big money is going to cause AI tools to stay here. But what they will find that they will basically unleash the genie from the bottle, because the productivity modifier of a person using AI versus these. Okay. The productivity multiplier for the individual person is going to be so great that what you will all be able to do with the tools that are coming out in the coming decades would be insane. Just like right now, we have one-man publishing houses making a living, which is something unheard of in the 80s. What people will be able to do in the coming decades with all the digital tools that are going to be resting on the generative technologies that are coming out today. It's going to be crazy. And my hope is that it will be so insanely productive that companies like Disney and Apple, they will only matter in very limited circumstances.
Well,
I think it's going to cause them to gain more power. There's going to be whoever masters AI masters the universe kind of thing going on, and that's why it will always be legal, because they'll want the power to use it. What they want first is some indemnification if they do use it. That's what they're scared of right now. But what Eric, I mean, that's the legal part, the money part. What Eric was saying before, I just want to follow up on one thing.
Yeah.
Is that I predicted way the fuck back when you had remember Guitar Hero, and then you had the band thing where you all play these stupid ass instruments. Yep. I remember telling everybody, it's like I'm like 36 or something like that, when all this shit, 38. I'm like, this is going to cripple an entire generation of kids who would normally have actually picked up a fucking instrument, learn how to play it or sing in the garage.
Know how to hit buttons.
Now, yeah, because they know how to hit buttons, and they get all the acclaim of their friends and the TV screaming, "Yay, Adam!" Right? They get all the dopamine hits that they would ever need, as if they were playing in a band. So why should they ever try to fucking learn how to play a goddamn guitar like Jimmy Page? Why should they learn how to sing like Robert Plant? They got their friends in the thing with a beer or the TV yelling at them, "Great job, buddy!" And it did. Tell me a fucking band now. Give me your standard. Who's the Led Zeppelin of our time? They don't know how to fucking do shit. They suck. Nobody could play. Nobody could fucking sing.
That's
so this is the same shit.
As Rob Conley clone, I support this message.
Crap.
Are you listening to the new music, Joe?
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks ass. It's terrible, man.
I'm sure, but there are good musicians out there. They're just you're looking at the industry, which is a machine made to create money. And yes,
Joe, don't look at the majority of what's happening. Look at the minority that Matt has identified.
In the 90s, I remember in the 90s, I could go anywhere in New Haven, and any given night on the weekend, there was at least 5 bands playing. There are 5 different venues having bands playing. Now, there might be one in the state.
You're just in the wrong place. Come to Nashville.
Well,
Nashville. What do you want?
The capital of North America. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Don't use that as an example. But here, I want to follow up on Rob. All right. So, and Rob to a point. No, Rob has a point. Again, where AI is going, it's going to empower a lot of creativity, a lot of people to do stuff they couldn't do before, but it's not going to empower them in the pocket. I'm going to tell you why. Because Rob is saying, like, we never would have dreamed that there'd be people today who could be one-man publishers. And you're right. There are one-man publishers that we would not have had back in the 80s. But guess what? The vast majority of publishers, by far the vast majority of YouTubers, don't make shit off this. I make more money with affiliate sales on drive-thru than probably 95% of small publishers make, because I get these residuals just from people shopping. But the actual publishers, there's so many of them. You go on drive-thru, and Rob will tell you, because Rob has the stats about how many sales drive-thru makes every year, how many transactions. As those transactions increase, the number of publishers increase. And then most of them you've never heard about. If you look at the Ennies list, most of them you've never heard about. Not just the title.
If I can interrupt 1 second, you can look at the metal list to see how bad the situation that Eric describe it. Like if you get copper, you're like 7% of all products on drive-thru make copper, or some ridiculously low number. Sorry, Eric.
Yeah, no, but I mean, honestly, what's going to happen, in my opinion, is yes, the hobbyists. You're going to have more people be. I'm going to hobby whatever. I'll be a hobby author, and you'll make your $100 a month, and you'll be like, I'm published, and that's great. You are. You could do that now on Kindle and be published. You could do that now on drive-thru and be published. I am. Okay, but it doesn't make you somebody that can live off that. You're not going to be living off of the work you can be able to create via AI, because AI is going to lack one certain thing that I don't think it's going to be able to replicate, at least for another generation, and that's that spark, the spark that when Greg does some work and writes something, or Rob, or Tim, or James, all right, that there's a certain I could read James' work and recognize Matt, you're a dice clone, okay? But
well, we already know they can do maps, so I'm already out of the job.
Yeah, I think the long-term trend in creative endeavor is the moving away from the mass market to people finding people who they like, and they specifically support those guys to write, sing, make art that they like. That's going to be the trend.
Love your
people
Rob.
are quite used to doing that, so it's still like a niche thing with the Kickstarters and stuff. But I think, the younger generation are going to be totally used to that, and they're just going to, if they like Sarah Jones in 2030, Sarah Jones in 2035 will have only an audience of 10,000, but all those 10,000 people sought her out and given her money so Sarah Jones can make songs for them.
Well, that makes kind of sense in the RPG community that we know, but my kids are not interacting with small creators. They're interacting with apps that are distributed free to play and played by millions of people and making money off of it. Like huge, massive apps and solutions. The idea that, my kid's going to turn down Call of Duty in order to play Call of Conley is just not going to happen.
Play that. Come on, put it out.
Well, the answer to that, my reply to that is, RPGs are going to remain a niche. I'm not saying the world is going to come to RPGs. So the mass audience is going to like something, but even for that, apps are in the future. Apps are going to become easier for people to write. And yes, there's going to be, like Eric mentioned with Drive-Through RPG, 90%, 95% of the apps out there are these one or two handful of sales, but there's going to be that 5% that do really well. And that's going to be a kaleidoscope that keeps changing over the years as old people drop off and new people come in. I mean, I'm not articulating fully. I have trouble.
Rob, you're doing fine.
You're doing fine for a 6-person conversation.
Yeah,
I mean, it's tough.
This is hard to follow.
Vision of the future. It's basically one person, but being able to do something, being able to write a book and actually distribute to thousands doesn't mean actually thousands of people are going to read your book. It has to be good. It has to hit the right moment. Oftentimes, it has to hit the right moment at the right time. I mean, Kelsey, if she released her Shadow Dark a year ago, might have not had $1 million Kickstarter. Right. She might only had 100,000,
or even now.
Rob, here's my response to your position. I've been thinking about it while you're going on. So, let's say that you write the next best epic thing, whatever it is, Lord of the Conleys. Okay, you write Lord of the Conleys. You release it. Within 7 microseconds, the AI turns Lord of the Conleys into a series of statistical relationships and immediately creates Lord of the Conleys 2 and distributes it, and then makes Lord of the Conleys 3 and then distributes it. And pretty soon there's so much of your unique spark that has been commodified, turned into relationships, however you were conceiving it earlier. And as soon as it conceived what you had done and translated into how it's going to interact with it in the algorithm, begins reproducing the magic of Lord of the Conleys. And pretty soon there's nobody buying Lord of the Conleys. It's all diffused out because it's deciphered your relationships. It didn't steal from you, Rob. It deciphered your relationships and then duplicated it 4 million times and distributed it across all channels, right? Wouldn't you feel like you just got fucked in the ass?
Without the
all right. So you're done with the scenario?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to stipulate that your scenario is correct. That actually, let's just say that happened. First of all, I would have done in this world where this stuff is happening, Rob Conley would put out a Kickstarter, and like some of the Kickstarters, the reason I became popular is sudden all these people paid me money to finish this book, to get it edited, to get the art in it. And so I already have my money up front. So I release it. So that AI destroys my long tail. Okay. Let's just say it actually destroys it completely. I don't accept that proposition, but let's just say it does. But there's going to be people who are realizing where the source of Rob Conley material is, and they realize that it's not that it's AI generated. Now, if somebody is fraudulently posing at me, that's a different problem, just like you're doing now. Okay, that's a problem, but it's not the problem that we're talking about. We're talking about somebody openly copying my stuff, making a bunch of dollars on it. And then, so my response to that would be on my social media to mock the shit out of them. I'll accept it's futile. I'll get some satisfaction, maybe some of those fans. But then, I have a sequel to my own work in the hopper. Then I make another Kickstarter.
So you're arguing you should only be able to make money on the front end of producing a product?
That's where I think the money is going to be made. It's all going to be on the front end. If a truly popular artist will have their payday all at once, rather than having.
You're assuming that you would become popular. The AI is going to act instantly the second that you publish it, right? I mean, it's going to have, before you've even loaded the next screen, after you hit publish on DriveThruRPG, and it publishes it. The AI will have already used bots to rip it, distribute it, break it down, turn it back. It's operating at a microsecond level.
That scenario only makes sense if I release a work and expecting sales from that work from a storefront.
So you're arguing in the future, no sales from a storefront?
Oh, I think there'll be sales from the storefront because people are going to be aware of AI, and they're going to want to support.
But how will they become aware of you enough to give you money for a Kickstarter when you have nothing already published? Because everything you've already published will have been stolen.
On the future social media, explaining what I do, sharing what I do, and there's enough people intrigued, and I do a good enough job of getting the word out there, which is, it doesn't matter if the AI, there's nothing to copy at this point. It's just me talking about my plans and stuff. And then I run a crowdfunding campaign. There's still nothing for the AI to copy because I haven't released something. And then just like Kelsey came out of nowhere and had $1 million.
But she didn't come out of nowhere. She published tons of stuff before she came out of nowhere.
Yeah, she had some of the best-selling shit over there on. Yeah.
She built up a legit total.
Yeah, she had a track record, but they weren't $1 million worth of sales.
It was the foundation for it.
Yeah, she built
the foundation for it.
Yeah.
But Rob, what if there are bots out there that are taking even your blog posts and your comments that you're thinking you're making on social media and turning that around so that there's Conley 1, Conley 2, Conley 3 that are publishing all this stuff on social media? That's what we're saying. These things are operating at a scale that you
because the bots that we have out there aren't capable of doing, and nor they're going to be capable of that in the near future.
Rob, I forget the exact name of the Facebook group. It's run by Stuart Robertson. It's the biggest OSR group. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He just had to write a post this week that he's having to kick AI bots out that aren't even spamming, Rob. They're coming in and pretending to be people.
Yep, I've had to kick those out too. Yeah.
So that's where we are right now, and they're already going to take your ideas and begin talking about them on social media as if they're a real person. One of the things that Elon Musk said recently, the reason why he changed his things about blue checkmark when he took over, is because he said we have to have a blue checkmark now just to verify that you breathe. Like it's not whether you're famous or not. That's
I
not
agree
as
that
important anymore.
we should have
What's
verification
important
of
now is
people.
that we know whether you breathe.
You're
Okay.
sliding a whole bunch of issues. What are we debating, Greg? If you're debating that, do we need a verification?
Rob,
Then yeah,
I'm
we
trying
need
to
verification.
respond to your claim that you're not even stealing people's work by direct duplication.
But you're talking about
this is a big
verification.
thing.
That's a different issue.
Rob,
Greg.
you're lost in the weeds on this, Rob. You're lost. He's trying to make analogies and metaphors, and you're lost in the weeds of a metaphor and analogy. He's trying to make the grander point that basically you would never, if you ever had the one thing you put out there, Lord of the Conleys, and nobody really knew about you except a few blogs or whatever, and it goes out there and AI creates it, and duplicates it, you will never have a name anywhere ever to make money off of anything again. You'll be lost.
That's what I don't think that scenario is likely.
Just because you're not.
Well, Rob, I'm not willing to put the future of human endeavor in the hands of whether you think it's likely.
And honestly,
I think we should have more protection than that.
Okay, but you're not letting me finish in that. If you're talking about, I think things should be labeled. I mean, if that's the problem, that you don't know which is AI and which is not, then things that are AI need to be labeled. And I'm in favor of strong regulation in that regard.
Rob, that's labeling is irrelevant. Who gives a shit? I mean, it's AI, it's not AI. If it's slightly better than like the Harry Dresden books, right? I'm reading them. I can't wait. This motherfucker pulls a Robert Jordan. I'm going to kill him again. I'm waiting and for the final books in the series. But if AI just, says, here's the 17 Harry Dresden books and here's everything Jim Butcher's ever written, I'm worried that that Jim Butcher might croak. Please write the last 5 books in the series, and it puts it out there. That's fucking fantastic. I'm done. I'm good to go. Now Jim Butcher may put out something. He has to beat AI, who is his own goddamn competitor that he created, right? Jim Butcher already has a name, so people are going to read his book. But if he was Jim Butcher with nothing except a bunch of blog posts and a few short stories somewhere in some goddamn Reddit group, he was going to be buried forever. Nobody will ever find Jim Butcher, but they'll find Jim Butcher AI publications, right? Because they're just as good, and they're cheaper.
All right. Well, all I can say is you guys are talking science fiction at this point. I mean, I know that sounds like a weak argument, but you're talking the equivalent of 1 million datas out there from next generation, all typing on a keyboard.
I don't think
and then that's just not realistic. It's not how the technology works.
But Rob, here's the thing, Rob, and this is what I have to keep on reminding myself. Again, I came into the world, calculators were the holy shit, and computers took up a whole floor at my father's job. He worked for the phone company. All right? Computers were fucking huge. Then, and Traveler, remember how huge we thought computers were going to be in the future to take up?
I'm aware.
All right. So now, again, I have more computing power in my cell phone, all right, than I had on my desk, I don't know, 5 years ago?
Yep.
If that. So now, and we all have learned that technology doesn't slow down at this point. It just increases and increases and increases.
Law every 18 months.
Okay. So if technology was going like this from the Industrial Revolution on, and then suddenly we hit the 50s and we started hitting computers, and we never thought computers were going to get past like these big ass tapes, and then all of a sudden, look where we are. The trajectory, Rob, is shit. The first flying car has been approved, by the way. But let's just say that it's science fiction. Well, guess what? Science fiction, in a lot of ways, technology-wise, I could see it hitting in 5 years, 10. My lifetime, certainly. And if it's in my lifetime, certainly, that's scary.
I mean, you got. I have somebody in my family who was born during World War I.
Eric, when I look, it's just going to sound critical of your statement, but you're not looking at, Eric, at those that stuff that your computer shrinks down to the hand computer. If you look at the 1930s vision of the future and the 1940s vision of the future, then the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and today's vision, what people think the future is, they only remember the things that get right. They remember the 90% of the things that they didn't get right. Okay.
Wait, do you remember both?
Rob, you're asking us to have faith in what you think is going to happen in the future, though.
I'm not asking you to have faith in anything. I'm
you
just
said
making
you
my
don't
point.
think it's going to be an issue, but but you just argued that 90% of the things that we think about what's going to be an issue are going to be wrong.
Yes, they're going to be wrong.
It means a 90% chance that your guess is wrong, Rob.
90% of what I read people thinking about it, they are flat out wrong.
Rob,
they don't know how the technology works and what its strengths and limitations are.
Rob,
Rob, now.
If we're talking flying cars and stuff, it didn't happen as quickly as possible, or we thought it was going to happen. If we're talking computers, if we're talking devices like this, listen, I was watching Star Trek Next Generation going, we're never going to have a data pad like that, let alone one that can fit in an oversized pocket. I mean, damn, I've got a Max. That's why my phone's so damn big.
However, we still don't have a tricorder. And there's a reason
we
for
failed
that.
everybody with that.
Yeah, well, you know what?
I mean, we have a data pad. Yes, Eric, you're right about that. But we don't have a tricorder. Why? Because sensing technology have fundamental limits that make an all-in-one device
wait, hold on.
Physically impossible to make at the moment.
Hold on a second, Rob. I just want to make.
I know there's some devices that they're calling tricord because they can.
No. I'm just gonna read my blood sugar because it's my tricorder.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, look at that, 116. Okay. No, I mean, Rob, I understand your argument. Okay, but none of us are dealing here in absolutes, or we shouldn't be. All right, because none of us know the future. None of us are the great. I like, what was the fortune teller on Johnny Carson? You know, when Johnny was like,
oh, the great Kratzmer. What the fuck was his name?
Yeah,
we refer to him all the time. We got to learn his name.
Yeah, you know,
Karnak. Tell me that great Karnak. Yeah. But none of us are that. You, me, none of that. So when I say things like I expect, do I expect that I could be wrong? Certainly. But I also expect that you could be wrong, Rob, because again, I am looking at how technology has, in my own lifetime, accelerated far beyond anything I ever thought was possible. Ever. Things our kids take for granted, we never dreamed of, right? This isn't like going back to the 1800s and, oh, look, an iron carriage. Look at that. Holy crap. Look at technology's got to be. Now, nothing surprises me, right? If you tell me that, you know, I could fly the next moon landing using my cell phone. Well, weren't they doing that with the submarine that got crushed? You know, using a controller from a PlayStation and probably like a phone for all the computing. The technology, when it comes to how these things think, is growing much faster than physical flying cars and shit like that. And the faster shit like this learns, and it's not learning like us, it's not thinking like us, but the faster this shit progresses and the faster it becomes, and it becomes faster every year, right? Smaller microns on these microchips. Do you have an M2 processor in your Apple or an M3? Every year, it's about getting faster and faster, and we're still doing it. We're still doing it. And all that matters is the speed that this calculation happens, and artificial intelligence will learn from itself, and it will get better and better at what it does. Will it be foolproof? No. Would I put my life in the hands of artificial intelligence identifying me right as possibly, oh, is that Eric the retired cop or Eric the serial killer? Oh, he looks close enough to this one. Oh, we're going to, make sure you arrest him and put him down violently. I mean, I don't trust artificial intelligence to make decisions. But human nature being what it is, I expect human nature to put in decisions into the hands of artificial intelligence.
I also want to chime in here. The problem, the whole Skynet thing kind of argument as a whole, like that the computers are going to have too much control. That's not how it's going to manifest. Unlikely. What the scenario I think is much more likely is that Skynet is going to be millions of little bots that are telling you on social media this and that and this and that and this and that. So you feel like the general consensus of people around you is X when it's all bots. Right, the bots are going to take Rob Conley posts and start making copies of it. They could take Tim Short posts, so that there's the real people are no longer having the influence anymore. It's just a sea of fucking bots. That's the whole thing about like Russian bots with the election and all this shit. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that's nothing. If they can AI-fy that shit.
Yeah, they're going to start having bots that can get into an argument with you on Facebook and seem like a real dumbass.
Well, they already do.
Yeah.
No matter if it's a bot or a regular person or a dumbass.
So eventually it's going to be, we've all seen, I think, there's research where people go into a thing and pick, an answer. And if all the paid actors that are part of the experiment say the wrong answer, people have a tendency to actually pick the wrong answer to conform to the paid actors that are choosing the wrong answer. People are affected by this stuff. It's a real thing. And if all of a sudden everything is being run by some AI that you don't even know what other people are even thinking anymore, because who's Rob Conley? There's 48 Rob Conleys.
Okay, so let's just say the catastrophe happens and AI bots run amok. In that scenario, what I would predict is people will stop using Facebook and other forms of similar, new form of social media. I don't know what, not another Facebook, something. So Facebook is very different from email, right? And very different from the text chat we use on our phones. So something else will be developed, and Facebook will just fall into the black hole that Gopher did.
Why would people stop using it if it makes them feel like they're always correct? Well, think about it. That's what
because you're assuming for perfection from the get-go.
You don't need perfection. You don't need perfection.
Hold on, Joe. Let me finish.
All right.
Assuming perfection from the get-go. Right now, bots are not capable of doing. So they become more, but they are capable of people putting up on server and perpetuating. And all of a sudden, you have all the crappy bot-like people on the internet, and you find out you can't have any discussion worth a damn, and it just, the whole thing becomes useless for social interactions, and you quit using it.
The internet is for social interaction. It's for making people feel good about themselves, and you don't need perfection to make people feel good about themselves. Any stripper will tell you it's not about the reality of the situation. It's about people believing it enough that she actually really does like you, and that's why you gave her $200.
My theory is there'll become a tipping point where everybody says this is bullshit and quit using Facebook.
Because you're an optimist.
Yeah, a lot of optimism. I know.
Just like people are quitting Twitter in droves because the service has become reliable. Bots are proliferating. Because they I mean, whatever you think of Elon Musk and how he's handling it, the fact is, Twitter is rapidly becoming useless for people.
But bots were an issue before Elon came on. That was a huge issue. That Twitter was full of bots. He's been trying to strip the bots out, which has upset people because it means that certain political views no longer get the push that they were getting before because you have an army of bots.
They're not amplified.
Certain narratives.
Artificially so, yeah.
So, I mean, Twitter's a cesspool anyway. Has always been a cesspool.
People go to where they think their group is. Whether their group is real or imaginary or partly each, they don't need perfection to have affirmation in their own heads. All they need is enough.
Hey, by the way, we gave him a shout out before.
Yeah, I did. Sure. I did talk about Stuart before. FYI, if you're just joining, Stuart, go back a little ways. But I think the issue is the things are being like even to use. I don't like to use Rob's framework to make my own arguments, but even if we conceive of the algorithm as just deciphering the relationships and then duplicating them, it can do that at a rate that's unimaginable to a human mind. Yeah, it can write 48 books that are duplicates of your book in the first minute. It can flood everything you think. It can flood out everything you do. It flood out. There's no way to distinguish you, like Joe was saying. Like as soon as there's no way you can build up a reputation because the AI will steal your stuff before you even get it out there. You may even we've said before sometimes, like the difference between a person who actually puts out a product and the average, armchair person watching from the side is that with the armchair person will go, I have an idea for a book. There's a guy who does blah, 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 right? And the writer actually sits down and spends the time actually writing it all out. That's the hard part. The hard part is actually doing the work. Well, the AI is going to do that, isn't it? So Rob's going to go, I have an idea for a book where a guy does blah, blah, blah. Bing! AI presents, here's the book, Rob.
Not only that, it promotes it 6 billion different fake identities all over social media. The next thing you know, you're viral. But the other book is not yours, and you can never break through.
Well, just a general note: verification of identity is an internet problem, and here's the tension with that. If you have verification of identity, how can you be anonymous? Do we want anonymous people? You want to be able to be anonymous on the internet, but at the same time, we want people to say who they are. And I don't have an answer. I think if you sell things commercially, regardless of what industry or creative industry that you're in, that you definitely, even if you have an anonymous identity, you should have a verified anonymous identity, like the RPG pundit, for example. Take him, for example. He should be able to operate his business under that name. And so, but we should know that a product comes from the RPG pundit. We should know that the product should be able to come from Greg, from Joe, from Tim, from me, from James Bond, from Wizard Tower Games. I mean, we shouldn't have to worry about AI bots impersonating that. Because that's really going to be the first line of defense. Maybe not the only line of defense, but the first line of defense is to allow people to find the people they want to support and know that they're supporting.
But it's not going to happen, Rob. You're talking about this is the only science fiction you really talk tonight. Is right there what you just said. It's science fiction to believe in the better nature of humanity.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about verification of ID. Nothing about human nature.
I'm talking about there's no interest in it. The AI would have, there's no. We would have an interest, yes, but the powers that be make too much money doing it the other way, so they would never allow it to happen.
I don't know. Jesus, Joe, you talk about dystopian government features all the time
all I'm
on our chat. That's
right
like a hallmark. It's the ID for everybody scenario.
I'm just talking about reality right now. I mean, it's going to get worse, I mean, tell me when something went the way.
Tim, you're on mute.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
You guys are all going to be about jealous. I just got some genuine Jersey bagels hot out of the bacon, so be jealous and suck it.
You're lucky.
Talk about AI this, motherfuckers. Yeah. That's right.
So the thing is, though, the technology if people, if you want to,
Rob,
AI got the bots got Rob.
They came out.
Greg sent out his bots. Yeah.
All right, Rob, you've been unfrozen. You were frozen. We had nothing to do with it.
Greg will let you continue.
Don't blame the great AI. We had nothing.
I'm sorry. What did I miss?
Whatever
you froze and we didn't hear what you said.
You froze up, Rob.
We froze up. We heard nothing.
There are verification technologies that you can use with that individuals can use on their own without having to go to some server. And stuff.
Rob, we don't doubt that you can verify people. Joe's point is people don't want other people to be verified. If I go on Twitter and create a stream of I want to follow all the things that are going to agree with me and tell me things that make me feel good about myself. I don't care if they're a bot or a real person. And so what's going to happen is people are going to see if there's a bot out there, and this happened all the way back in the Google Plus days, whatever, right? A bot out there that just posts Star Wars pictures. That's all it does. It posts maybe memes, whatever. Boom, 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 boom. Infinite stream of that. People follow that. They don't want authentic interaction from that thing. They want it to deliver to them what they want. It's not any different if they want somebody to go, Joe is totally right about that. Hashtag Joe is awesome. You know, I mean, like that. There's going to be bots out there doing that.
He
shit.
is. He is.
Well, that's just Joe writing it over and over
Yeah.
again.
And
Yeah.
Joe's going to be like, follow that guy. Yeah,
No, they're not paying it. I don't know. I don't. You're talking about somebody be able to, when they buy something from somebody, they know who they're buying from. That's it. That's all I'm talking about.
I know that's what you're talking about. We're saying
you're
that's
talking
not
to me.
the only
There's
problem.
no commercial transaction in that.
Well,
So
here's the thing.
How is that relevant to the scenario that I'm painting?
Rob, what I'm trying to get at here is the corporate interests have no interest in it because they make money the other way, and therefore, since they control the fucking Congress, that's how it's going to go. Your optimistic viewpoint.
Well, they'll care when somebody impersonates being Disney.
They will crush you like a bug because of the corporate interests, right? They will be destroyed, to be obliterated.
How they're going to crush a bug? Another Disney appears 2 seconds later. This is your scenario.
But people won't do it anymore because they see the ramifications, Rob. They see that you went to jail for 38 years for impersonating Mickey Mouse at a little kid's party. That's what I'm getting at here.
Ooh, that's
you know what charge. I mean? You know?
No, I don't. I mean, you're painting me a scenario where Rob Conley can't make any money because all these AI bots are popping up. Well, in that case, there's going to be a whole bunch of AI bots going after the big guys too. They're going to be impersonating Disney. They're going to recreate Disney Plus.
Let's see,
exactly.
Rob, it's Disney that's going to have the bots.
Yeah,
that's Disney's. You're going to publish Lord of the Conleys, and within a minute, Disney is going to release the new Lord of the Conleys series, and they're going to start producing it.
But Disney is not going to be the only ones with the bots.
You're right, but they're the only ones with the distribution of the stuff. So you can make Lord of the Conleys
AI bots that can replicate content perfectly.
You're going to write Lord of the Conleys. Disney's bots are going to disassemble it into relationships and then rebuild it as Lord of the Conleys Disney. And they're going to start publishing the AI-written, AI-filmed, AI-developed Lord of the Conleys series on Disney Plus that afternoon. And no one is going to know what you did.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, then 10 seconds after that, Hackers R Us in St. Petersburg, Russia, are going to copy Disney's site, and all of a sudden, Disney finds himself on the receiving end.
But see, Disney will contact the government and have that person shut down.
Or assassinated.
Then we can spin any fantasy. Who's running the fantasy role-playing game now? You get 1 point of departure here, Greg. Otherwise, we can debate anything for any old reason.
Rob, you don't think they can fucking pull that off? Goddamn, Rob. Frank Sinatra back in the goddamn 60s, he was close enough up. He had enough.
Hold on, Joe. Rob already argued that the problem with copyright law is that it's corrupted by Disney.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So the idea that Disney's going to corrupt this is your own belief.
Yes, but I'm using the premise of your scenario with AI bots that are magically able to replicate content. They're all of a sudden Disney is going to find themselves on the receiving end,
and they will crush the interloper. They will destroy them
in the same way that they rewrote.
They're perpetuating at the speed of electrons.
Disney corrupted the politicians to write the bill that you are upset with.
Well, how the politicians are going to catch these AI bots?
They don't have to. All they have to do is pick up their phone, and when Disney calls them.
But how? How did they do this? Did they know where the server is to shut it down?
Rob, they'll find out. Holy Christ! I mean, look, that's.
What? It's AI bots. They can perpetuate at the speed of electron. They can't find out. It can circle the globe, replicating Disney sites left and right.
Rob, are you saying that if Disney was having everything copyrighted on the internet and being produced, that the NSA couldn't shut it down?
And who controls the NSA? Done.
The government.
Yeah, in the scenario that you and Joe, where Rob Conley can't make money, that exactly what happened. Because you adding this new condition that Disney is now allowed by government to copy my content, and that wasn't the scenario that I originally postulated early. You added that condition.
Rob, all I'm saying
So
is
that,
by
so
your
in
own
that, in that you're
your
painting a
own
1984
concession
style
about
dystopia.
copyright is that it's corrupted. The government is corrupted by these massive actors. You're saying we can't have good copyright law because the government is corrupted. Therefore, we should trust that everything will work out fine and the government won't be corrupted. What are you talking about? If the government's going to be corrupted by Disney, it's not going to be corrupted in Rob Conley's favor. It's going to be corrupted in Disney's favor.
Very good. Oh, they're so good.
Lord of the Conleys.
I don't, you know, whatever.
He's getting tired.
I think
No, the whole thing I got shit about from the audience and you guys was abolishing copyright.
You actually had some supporters in there too, Rob.
What is it? There's nothing for Disney to corrupt the government about. They don't have any copyright. So what the hell are you talking about adding Disney as somehow magically, you know? So if you accept that Rob Conley, if you accept that copyright is abolished, that means anybody can copy what
Nobody ever accepted that, Rob. Not one of us ever accepted that. Not even in any scenario did we argue that.
All right, you're saying the scenario that Disney controls the government, so they're allowed to take anybody's stuff.
It's called 7/14/2023. I mean, them and other people, the rich, the corporations, the plutocracy, Rob. They will crush the bugs. I mean, this is what we started with the discussion with. They will crush us like bugs if we raised our heads in a way they didn't like. And with AI bots at their fingertips, at their power at their disposal, they'll have their public relations bots backing up what their AI bot just stole from you. And next thing you know, you'll be buried and never make a name for yourself. And therefore, why strive for anything if it'll always
whatever. Okay, if you want to believe the conspiracy horse shit that's been going on to decades, God, you sound like my Uncle Bob sitting in the kitchen in the goddamn early 70s. Except with the goddamn UN and Trilateral Committee.
Rob, I'm not arguing Joe's conspiracy things. I'm gonna put it in your own terms, right? Okay, so your problem with copyright law is that it's not reasonable. Right, it doesn't have what you said. What was it? 28 years with a renewal, whatever. You think that should be better, but it's shit now because Disney corrupted it, right? That
yes,
copyright,
I agree with James.
But that copyright law is the only thing that protects your work from not being copied, as bad as it is, right? So if
Rob's working
bad, no, I meant like. That as bad as the situation
really? Wait, Greg,
right.
you believe that the copyright law is protecting your work, right, as it stands now?
Rob, if Disney copied Greg Christopher's book verbatim and released it, yes, that copyright law
That's not
would
what
be
they
protecting
do.
me. I know, Rob. They study the relationships.
No.
Okay.
No, they do it the old-fashioned way. They look at it and they come something. They pick enough of it apart to write their own work that, you know,
I know
they don't call it Shadow Sun, they call it Black Sun, and they say, oh no, we have nothing to do with Greg Christopher's work, when it's just totally, but you know, and if you try to make hay of it, they'll just bury you in attorneys. That scenario already exists, Greg. You're not saying anything new.
So you wanted to make it easier for them by eliminating the rewrite, that they should just be able to directly copy it.
I think we are.
What I want is a shorter copyright term.
I think we're beating the same horse dead. I think the horse has been killed a few times by both sides, multiple. Now, what's up on the screen, which people are going to me, what the fuck is that? And I think it's a pretty cool scene. You know, portraits by author, right? Fantasy artwork, right? And I almost feel like this should have been in like Dragon magazine.
Yeah.
Fugly did it by AI art. Just had it generated as the show was going on. So, again, I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, this looks like something from like, I don't know, mid 50 issue 55, 56 of the Dragon.
Yes, absolutely.
I could see this coming from there.
Yes.
Right? And it doesn't have that normal, like, I'm looking at this and there's like a random penis sticking out of somebody or like 7 fingers sticking out of somebody's head. This actually looks legit. Now, kind of stuff. If somebody put this in a zine, right? People be going, oh my God, who the fuck is that artist? That's great. That just captures the old school look perfectly. I want to get that artist, but that artist is probably Midjourney. Okay. Now, I am not arguing. I'm not going to argue the moral or copyright or any of that shit. I'm just presenting this to say, to our eyes as old school gamers, this looks like old school art that we should have seen. Right? This looks like old school art that would have fit in the 70s or 80s or early 90s and would have been spot on. And if you put it in a modern product, people would go, wow, that artist really understands old school D&D art. They really captured it. They did. It just happens to be artificial intelligence. So again, we are arguing in circles. We are beating the same fucking horse from opposite sides. But what it comes down to is artificial intelligence. In this specific case, nobody here is arguing, oh, well, it's obviously artificial intelligence. That's obviously fake art. It's obviously artificial intelligence isn't fake art. Artificial intelligence is art that we can look at and actually say it had a spark, because I'm looking at it and going, oh, it's kind of funny that the author's doing these portraits and they're stick figures. And yet they're still looking at it with like the bold cleric, which I'm assuming it's the bold cleric, with that lewd look in his eyes. All right? This is capturing little shit that...
But I totally... Let me frame it this way, Eric.
Really
there were hundreds, thousands of artists that captured all of these individual things.
Oh, yeah.
And what the AI did, operating at a scale that boggles the human mind, took all those little things and put it together into this thing. Now, currently, because we've never had this capacity before, we've conceived of the artist's end product as a physical, as the output that we need to protect. That's why we've said you can't copy the art that the artist makes, because we've never had to deal with before somebody stealing all the ideas in the aggregate and recombining them this way, right? But it's against the kind of moral value of the artist to steal the way that gnome is standing, that he personally, the way that the way that the sign looks, the way that the helmet sits on that guy's head. All these things that the AI has pulled out of all these other people's stuff and used to create this. It's violating the kind of moral rights of the artist in doing that. And then if we do this, if we make it so you can write a role-playing game book and just type in, get art like this, boom, 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 don't have to ever pay an artist, right? And you start publishing things, then the actual artists will stop making their... What's the point if they can't get paid for sitting there for 8 hours drawing something? So they're going to stop drawing.
I tell you, they're still there, despite and Matt here could, if he was here, he would verify this, that despite the proliferation of tablets, there are still people doing it the old hand method, and people pay a premium for it.
Yep, they did until yesterday. But if the AI is going to be able to recreate the same product for 0 or 1 cent, then it's why do that anymore?
All right, you mail. People said the same thing about the digital paintbrushes.
Rob, a digital paintbrush can't jump up and make a painting.
Yeah, it doesn't draw itself. And to be honest, once you learn how to manipulate or run the AI, you can generate, and you're willing to pay the premium on Midjourney or whatever service to get your prompts up there quicker into the system. You can generate plenty of art, and that's the reason why drive-through makes you state if you're using AI art in your work. They won't. I don't believe they allow AI art to be used as stock art. So.
No,
so right, so there's this line, and the line isn't a legal line yet. The line is a social line. The line is a line that corporations, smaller ones, and larger ones in our corner of the world, but small ones in a larger form, are having to make these decisions, because just like we spent 2 hours talking about this topic, and it's passionate, and believe it or not, some people might think that you heard 2 different point of views. You've actually probably heard 5 or 6 different point of views, because there's all nuanced differences between how we're all looking at this. But the reality is, this is a game changer as a creator, and it's going to put artistic creativity, using that in quotes, right? Because there are people who say, well, if you don't use pen and pencil or a paintbrush or charcoal or chalk, you're not doing real art. If you're doing it digital, it's not real art. Well, guess what? I can't do art either way, but I can generate pictures on Midjourney. It might suck, but maybe not.
Actually, to clarify, Eric, the digital art tablet, they assist the artists.
Yep. But full disclosure, it would totally benefit me if I could just type in stuff and get free art to put. The art is the only thing, the only cost that I have to even make the material that I make. I can do the layout myself. I can do the writing. I can get editing and proofreading work from other people for almost zero cost. What I can't do is make this art. But if I have a tool that just lets me go bing and I get the art for free, then now my costs are zero, just my own work. That would be totally in my benefit. But it's morally wrong for me to do that. Somebody has to get paid for making the thing. Otherwise, there'll be no thing. We're gonna live in a world where all the art that exists is being created by AI and based off of previous art, and there's no more people actually making this stuff. It's not in our interest to do that.
It's not going to do it. Look, I'll tell you one thing about this. You know, when I looked in, I mean, I am not going to be using AI art, because everything, it's a pain in the ass to generate. I would love to see the prompt that created this freaking image, and then I would like to know the amount of time the guy spent learning the magic incantation that created that.
You know, we'll have to bring Alice Peng on Lala on one night, because she has spent a shit ton of time learning the prompts to generate like the superhero art or other art that she likes to generate, and then goes in and then tweaks it and photoshops it, because she says nothing comes out as she would want it. She has to go in and actually fix it, and she doesn't claim it as art in the traditional sense, but it is certainly a skill. I'm not saying that. You really have to learn how to get something more than, some random scenery that kind of looks fantastic.
So I wasn't quite finished, Eric. So and to answer that, yes, I became aware of it because of that Kent David Kelly, who littered the stock art with a whole bunch of. Well, he wrote a book on how to do this, and I read it over, and I'm thinking, oh my fucking God, I'm definitely going to stick with human artists, because me and the human artist, when I talked to Richard Luschek to do my cover for my upcoming second revision of Black Mars, it's just going to be easier for me to deal with, even though I have to pay money.
For now.
What about when he goes out of business, Rob?
I'm going to kind of give you on my side of things. Like when I was running, when AI art started hitting, becoming, I guess, more mainstream, it seemed like it just came out of nowhere, and it was just everywhere. And there was a big discussion on the RPG Zine group on Facebook about not allowing it. They wanted me to basically ban advertisements or people who were creating AI work. And I'm like, I'm not even going to go there. Did I agree with it at the time? Not really, but that's my own personal decision. And I always go back to this, where we all have to make our own personal choices. That I am not going to make that choice for Rob or Greg or Joe, what can be good. And like I told everybody on the group, we all have to make our own decisions. If you don't like something, don't fucking buy it. That's the best way you can make your decision. I mean, if there's no money in it or anything, but like say Now, like, say there was some AI art, to your point, Greg, and that was bordering on someone else's like cover that they kind of stole it and everything like that, or it looked so familiar that, you know, if I looked at it and I could recognize it, I probably would put a stop to that particular post and then explain why I did it. Would I block them from the group? No, but if they kept on, like, if I kept on seeing like things, and unfortunately, you know, when you're head of a group, sometimes you're put into situations that you don't want to be in because you're dealing with, I mean, I think Stuart out there, he's got like 4,000 and some followers, or 5,000, and then my RPG group now is close to 47 or 1,000 or 100 followers or whatever, and you got all these personalities mixing and all these opinions. I want to stay clear that I want to let everybody have their creative freedom, but I don't want anybody like blatantly, like you said, stealing from it. But I'm also not going to stop them from using that as a tool, because I know, I see this. I don't know if you, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys remember way back in the day when I put out the Manor, poor Dennis McCarthy, I gave him a stick figure thing of what I wanted drawn for my cover. It was like the worst drawing ever, and he created just such a wonderful cover for me. But I could see using something like this to help me, like, okay, this is kind of what I want, just make it better for me. So where I might take an AI art, but I'd use it as a sort of as a model for one of my guys I go to make it more his own style.
No, you could do that, Tim. And that's like, you're not hurting anybody, right?
No, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm not, but again, this is we're such in the infancy of this tool. And I know it's right now, it's just basically a blunt hammer.
Yeah.
It's also a tragedy of the commons thing here, where it may be an innocent action on your part, but the aggregation of millions and billions of innocent actions becomes real harm. And in that people can't get work in a particular, you know, because the AI is doing everything.
I get that, but the thing with you saying that, though, our choices can stop doing that. My innocent act, as in choosing not to, if I see a zine that's got or say I got $10 to spend on a zine this week, and I know one has, you know, art by Jason Schultes or someone who's created AI art, I'm going to pick the Jason Schultes zine every freaking time.
We're also in a hobby there. People are working for almost nothing.
Right. And it is, it's a hobby. And I mean,
yeah.
And to Rob's point too, and your guys' point, a lot of the stuff we're using, you're comparing is like, we're Disney. Yeah. Disney's like, you know, it's going to be bad. It's big corporate. It's there to make money. Where I think a lot of our conversation should have skewed more to our hobby, as, you know, trying to sell to a couple hundred, because Disney's got nothing to do with what we're doing right now. You know, it really doesn't. I mean, it messes with us a little bit, but
I don't make my decisions based on what I think Disney. I'm
right. But like, I mean, we kept using it as an example.
Moral.
I agree with you.
It's immoral for me to fill a book that I wrote with a bunch of art that I didn't legitimately acquire in my view. Like,
I get that.
Whatever the, you know, if we have to train the AI by giving it existing people's work, right? We can't just give it a dictionary and then say, you know, come up with shit. It has to actually study other people's stuff. Yeah, like Rob said it's breaking it down and looking for these patterns. Well, if we take the output as legitimate, then no one's going to be making new patterns, because there's no business in that anymore.
Well, the other thing too, Tim, you're saying, you know, to do concept art, I can't draw a stick figure. You did a stick figure. That's beyond.
I did. Skill. I mean, my stick figures were good.
Beyond, I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, so I could see myself say, yeah, in an RPG book, I'm never going to publish some shit. But if I ever did, I could say, hey, artist boy, can you do this for me? It looks kind of like this. I could do a stick figure, or I could type some prompts in AI. I'll do the prompts in AI. I'm not hurting anybody's business, right?
Right.
But in somewhere like Hollywood, the fashion industry, whatever, there's artists who entire livelihood is they are the concept.
That's out of my realm. I
know.
mean, all I can do is my little world, and that's how because I mean, I can talk about all this stuff, but I mean, I get, and I'm on their side for that thing, but I don't have it. But I'm also not going to make that decision for somebody else either. I am not going to put my choice onto somebody else. And I think that's, if you do that, I think that's worse. To me, that kind of thing is worse.
Do you have the moral obligation? I don't know. I mean, it's just a completely theoretical, philosophical, natural philosophy question. It's a natural philosophy question, Tim, is what we're dealing with here, I think, right?
Exactly. Oh, natural philosophy.
Ooh, you like that?
Yeah. That's our all-to-go-to thing. But I just find, I think it's an interesting topic. It really is. And I mean, you guys are very good. I mean, the cool thing about this, even though these guys are very heated on there, I mean, we got in the game the same night, and there's no weird animosity. Nobody hates anybody, nothing like that. This is a good heated conversation. And I think it's good because Rob a lot of times is the foil. Rob is our foil that kind of stands up to Matt and Joe and Greg going after him a lot of times. And he does well.
Yes, I am the foil.
And here's the thing, guys. Even if what I say is true, the thing is, I don't know what problems are going to result. I know they're going to be problems. It's just not the problem that you guys are saying it's going to be. It's going to be a whole new set of problems. Just like the Industrial Revolution brought a whole new set of problems for humans to wrestle with. This technology, when we look at it 20, 30 years down the road, it's like, oh my God, we didn't see that one coming. And but I do not think it's not going to put people out of work.
Right, you don't think.
Well, we're not in.
Change the nature.
This isn't my work, Rob. What it will do is it will make it so that industries like the role-playing game industry, where the main reward is recognition and kind of community involvement and reputation, if you can't have those things, if there's some kind of bot that's going around scraping every OSR blog and then publishing it to Google Plus back in the day as a different, it's recombining the arguments and putting them up and recombining them and putting them up. And it was legit. It seemed like it was just another OSR creator, but it was just AI. Then eventually no one would be publishing their cool new class that they came up with, because it would immediately be reproduced and distributed. People want recognition of, hey, I'm the one who came up with this cool new druid ability. That's people like that, and that encourages people to create.
What will happen? So the fundamental limit of generative technology is it doesn't understand context. The fundamental structure of it doesn't understand it. It's incapable. There's no way of finagling that in there.
Yeah, but Rob, things are produced at multiple levels.
I'm not done there.
That horse is getting beat.
So the ultimate use of it. So he just berated, just anyway. The thing is, you keep focusing on the copy. What you forget about is human plus this technology. The human plus this technology is going to be superior to the copy. That's what's going to happen in the long run.
But it's happening at levels, right? So I'm the one making the book. I don't have to draw the art anymore. I just steal it basically from the community. That's all the AI is. AI is theft. You said that, aggregate scale.
You wrote a book, right? You have art, and you say that all the arts are unoriginal.
But I understand the context, Rob. That's my point. I'm the one taking the AI output and putting it into the book because I understand the context. But the person whose work is being overwritten by AI, they don't. It doesn't matter if the AI doesn't know the context of the work. It's still eliminating their work. The person using it to fill their books with art, they understand the context.
And my supposition, my My hypothesis would be that the future will belong to the artists who can employ generative technology that will make uh, any art they produce far superior than what you could produce
You
for
mean the
yourself.
non-artists who use the art?
No, I am
Yes.
talking somebody who is trained as an artist using generative technology for them too will produce superior art to a person who's not trained.
Here's the thing, okay? I'm gonna take this horse. I'm gonna fucking cut it right down the middle. What you're going to do, and Rob is right. You're gonna have the individuals that have artistic ability or training, and they figure out the prompts that AI needs, and they're gonna take the prompts, and they're gonna get something that's 95% there, and then they're gonna take their internal genius and the extra 5% and bring it to something that looks spot on awesome. But there are the artists now, the current artists that, and I'm going to get rid of this so like we can get a better visual of this. You're telling the current artists, sit and fucking rotate. And it's not you, Rob, but AI is. All right? AI is saying, you know what? What you were getting $200 for before, you'll be lucky to get 50. Because I can generate AI art like fucking Rob's Uncle Bob Joe was doing. Because it's cheap and it's affordable. And let's human nature, Rob, not those of us who have actual souls, all right, and care about our people in this economy and people in our industry, right? But the type of people that were happy to steal James's work are going to be like, hey, I can do this and pay no artist. I just saved myself $1,000 on my next project, or $100 because I don't have to buy stock art. Because and now you can say, but what about the next level? They don't care about that next level. The next level people are going to get paid, but the ability to generate art that is good enough, not what's going to be hanging up in the Sistine Chapel or any of that shit, but art that is good enough to be used in an RPG product or in a newsletter or in a magazine or wherever. AI is going to be at that point very soon if it isn't already there. And good enough is going to be cheap.
Yep.
And yes, the best will get paid and the best will get paid well. But the artists that were making some supplementary income, you see them online all the time in different groups saying, hey, I do portraits. Who's going to want somebody to do portraits for them when they can have AI generate it? And after hitting 17 times, they'll find one that comes close enough. Right?
Okay, so I have a scenario for the group.
Oh.
Okay. And then we got
okay, with all the positions.
Rob, I think you maximized your scenarios tonight, dude.
Okay, so suppose that Acme Corp comes out and they have a certified, and it everybody realizes there's no cheating involved in this, but their training data is totally from public domain sources, art that was made before 1926.
Okay.
What is your view of AI art generated with that?
Incredible kicked in. Say that again.
Okay. You have somebody comes out with a past journey, and the training data only comes from art that predate 1926.
Nobody's gonna want it. Nobody's gonna, not in our industry, right? Nobody's gonna be looking at that like, well, I'm gonna get some woodcuts. I mean, it's going to look like public domain artwork because it is ancient artwork, and nobody's going to want it. People want
sure it's going to produce nothing but ancient artwork.
It's not
because remember, certain art principles of art are universal.
Rob, it's not going to be producing artwork that, and if it does, that's great. You know what? My opinion still is that artificial art, AI art, artificial intelligence art, which is artificial art. Let's just leave it that.
Okay.
But artificial art intrinsically should have no value. But the reality is, just like in D&D, when you cast Fool's Gold, right? Fool's Gold looks legit when you find it. That's why you have the spell, so you can fuck the monsters over when you bribe them. So, not that my players ever did, because they always wanted to kill shit. But theoretically, if you're going to bribe monsters with gold, you take your copper pieces, you cast fool's gold. By the time they figure out, you're long gone. That's what artificial art is, and just by its very nature, it ruins the economy of actual artists. All right, actual artists. Today's artists are going to. Oh, my cat's crying. Yes, Sadie, I know you got a fishy. You got one of your fishies. Let's hear it. You're going to ruin their market with artificial. It's already going to happen. I'm not even going to argue that. That's guaranteed. And
so you believe that a generative a path journey made with pre-1926 art is just as immoral as what we're doing now?
Maybe not as immoral, but if you want to say for people to be able to continue producing art, real art, right, to make a living off of or supplement their income, so maybe a spouse doesn't have to work to stay home with the kid, they're doing this on the side, they're going to stop doing it. They're gonna stop doing it because money's not going to be there. And I've already heard that from artists. None of us here are artists, but I've heard it from artist friends. All right, this is their fear. And
what's Brasco say? You talked to him about this, Eric?
I haven't, but you know,
Brasco teaches too.
Right. I know artists that are very nervous about where this is going, because some of them have made that full transition to doing art for this industry, right, as their full-time job. And now you're going to have people going for AI art. And again, would I do it?
Yeah, but I mean, in the same breath, though, those same people who are going to go for the AR wouldn't have went for them anyways. Let's face it.
They're going to be going for. They would have gone for stock art, but somebody still. Somebody still would have gotten paid.
Maybe
if Magic the Gathering made a new edition with all AI art, how many people are going to not buy it because they care about AI art?
Well, who can tell on the size of those cards anyway?
I know.
It's like, hey, wait a second. There's a random penis there. How can you tell?
Ooh.
You know.
So Eric, I need to do a Rob. I want to do a screen share.
Oh, this is your first. Are you breaking your sharing here too on the screen sharing?
I believe I am. I don't know if I'm going to do it right. What do I do? Just stick it on the random party generator thing? How do I switch screens?
Don't do what I do. Close the porn site first before you start sharing shit. I made that mistake.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely heed to the Joe's school there. Let's see. I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Yep. Something popped up. Hold on.
Oh, it's the same screen.
You gotta go to the other tab.
You got a tab that you want to share? You gotta click the tab.
Okay, and
then you click the tab and you go play this instead.
Now, this is where it gets dangerous.
Oh, geez.
Oh gosh.
Oh no. Oh no.
Hey, yeah, it's me and technology here. Yeah. Welcome to...
He's going infinite.
Now, folks, I was going to say, great episode.
What the heck?
Have your friends watch.
I am causing like an infinity.
Around 2 hours.
Crossing the screen.
I'm just trying to share my screen.
You're crossing the screen. Stop it.
Oh my god! It's just, you better stop it. My god. I was just trying to share this.
Get off your damn camera.
What screen are you trying to share?
I don't know, the left one.
All right, so
do your
the one on screen sharing. This is fucking fantastic.
Let's see. Maybe I get it. Hey, you guys see me do roll 20. Goodness. Aha, I think I got it now. There we go. Now you go.
There we go.
I got it. So this was my line drawing.
Thank you
for the guy.
Look,
this is what I handed. This was it number 8?
What the hell is that?
That was my pencil drawing for him for my cover.
This will be the upcoming cover of my Majestic Wilderlands.
Fucking trees, and these are your trees.
Well, this is what I just want to do. Now, this is what he did with. I don't know if hopefully the right thing will pop up. No, will it refresh?
Forest. I know what that shit is. This is the Colmore Forest. That's the thing that's taller than the Colmore Forest in the top.
Now,
right.
How do I get to update it?
And those bottom things in the bottom, that's everybody who's dead in the Colmore Forest because they went to go to the outhouse and take a leak. That's what that is.
Stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
Then go share screen.
Share screen again. All right. See, now everybody's gonna know how to do this due to my ignorance.
We're teaching here.
Yeah, it's a teaching that, and that's what he came up with out of that fucking thing I sent him.
Very good.
Yeah.
I mean, I
agree. It'll take
at
at least 3 years for the AI to be able to do that.
Right, at least, yeah.
At least 3 years. But
so
I've thought of an answer to your question, Rob, about 1926. So here's the answer. Okay,
I have that manner on my shelf.
It's morally wrong for the same reason why we keep track of how many home runs were hit by Babe Ruth compared to people who use steroids. Okay, it is immoral to have the advantage that the AI has over the regular human being producing the thing to such an enormous degree that it makes people feel that it is morally wrong. That is a big part of it, I think, is the answer to your question. So you could take all artwork ever produced by humanity before 1926. You could have a computer break it down at some massive statistical aggregate level and recombine it in such a way that's better than anybody else on Earth's ability to do things, and it would be unfair and wrong. That's what because human beings can't do that.
So you're saying it was immoral for my dad and brother in 1986 to sell a machine that was 1,000 times faster than to a sheet metal shop that was cutting things patterned out of sheets of metal with a tin snip. I mean, any shop who got our machine instantly had 1,000% productivity boost compared to the shops that were still using the hand method.
No, wrong, Rob. I would say it's wrong that an AI creates the work of every human being ever in the past and gives all the credit to that to the person who invented the AI. Okay, that's what's going to happen. So you're right. This tool is not just a tool floating in the ether. It's going to be used by people for their benefit. So you're going to have one person who's going to have invented this tin snip machine by stealing all the ideas humanity ever had and then recombining into this thing. Well, nobody else has the ability to do that. Imagine if somebody had invented that machine like your grandfather, and then immediately the AI said, "Oh, I've invented something better by using everything in aggregate," before you could even finish marketing that thing.
But the inventor, died before 1926.
That I don't really care about the date. You could make the date 1976. It doesn't matter. What matters is that this thing is operating at a scale that makes competition with humans wrong.
But what's the difference between between that and the machine my father built and my brother developed the software for?
Because your father and brother weren't thinking in multi-terabytes of data instantaneously.
It was software. It was a computer. It wasn't multi-terabytes of data. It was megabytes of data back in the 1980s. It handled all the things.
It's very difficult to talk to you, Rob, sometimes. Okay.
I mean, you're trying to say it's unfair to compete with humans with software, and here I'm giving you an example where a piece of software in a machine my father and brother developed was 1,000 times faster than the guy.
And I'm saying that if there was an android standing next to your father that invented things at a enormously faster rate than your father and took over his business, that would be unfair.
But that's not what happened. They invented a technology that did a job that was done with people with tin snips. And
the AI will invent that technology.
I'm not talking
better
AI.
Technology within 1 minute.
I'm talking about something real that actually happened.
All right, but this whole show has been about theoretical anyway. And he's talking theoretical, you're talking real. That's fine. Listen, we're at 2.5 hours. As much as I'd even like to attempt to answer Don's question, I'm saying we can't fucking do it because I'll I can't, man. I can't.
Eric has to pee. That's what he's trying to say, folks. Eric has to pee.
Yes.
My poor niece is staying the night, and she's probably going, Uncle's still on the computer with the stupid
Those
friends.
weird, stupid friends. Yeah.
And they keep on talking about I.
That's
I don't
exactly
know
what an
why.
AI niece would say, Eric.
Wow. Hey, she got very insightful. I swear to God, if I could quote her, and I won't because it would embarrass her, she was extremely insightful. And I was like, wow. That should be on like a pin if you didn't want to get in trouble. I'm here.
Don't say it around the AI, or the AI will start.
Oh no, the AI
participating.
will pick it up, and all of a sudden it'll be like, "Oh no, this is the quote of the day." All right. If oh my, and I no wait, no, not even. Listen, I was gonna show off my box of solo RPGing for Matt, but Matt's not here anyway, so fuck him. That's the way if you enjoyed this, and you must have if you stuck it out this long.
Oh, God.
You're a glut for punishment.
Share this live stream. Share this video with your friends. Share it in other groups. Listen, this was 6 friends arguing out the ideas of artificial intelligence, and yes, heated discussion. Yes, banging heads. Yes. If we all lived together in the same area, we'd all be going out to drinks afterwards to just have a good time and chill. So there should be no hard feelings. We'll find out later. But
we'll find out in text.
Yeah, we'll find out in text. We'll suck. I'm like, sorry, Joe. So do you. No, I get to see Joe tomorrow. So yeah, I get to see Joe, another Joe, and a Dan.
Correct.
Yeah. We'll have details on this later. Oh, by the way, Joe, remind me to actually have pictures taken this time, so we can actually, say we hung out, and everybody actually exists.
Should I bring my mask?
Oh Jesus, that's right. Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Joe, I keep on forgetting that Joe is the secret.
I'm incognito.
Bring
Just
your mask.
your V mask or whatever.
Yeah. Wear your mask when we take the photo inside the bar. They make sure to call the cops as they take.
All right, yeah, that's true.
What if I take your real name, Joe, and start putting myself out there as you?
If I'm wearing the V mask, does that make me V?
How many horses got slaughtered tonight?
Mostly just Rob over and over again.
If we were making glue, all right, out of the horses that were involved in this, we'd have enough glue to probably put together, I don't know, like Dwarven Forge sets that will never come apart for ages.
Right.
So Stefan would have a heart attack. He'd be like, "My pieces." God, folks. Thank you to everybody, not just my fellow hosts, but to everybody in the chat. Even with the weird shit that was going on, ignore the weird shit. It never happened. Just focus on the artificial intelligence, not the artificial conversation. Other than that, again, like I said, comment after the chat, and share it. You know you want to. Folks, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I'll be back tomorrow night with Rachel, Gamers Health. Well, maybe we'll give some details about the festivities tomorrow. And
sober. You might have to take a recovery nap before Gamers Health if things go right.
Dude, I didn't take a nap all week.
Feeling okay?
Yeah, I've been getting my 30 minutes of Apple exercise in every day.
All right.
I haven't had a nap.
Good job.
Yeah, go figure that shit out.
I lost 12 pounds.
Today?
This
argument?
Today? Yeah, probably.
Big pound, Rob. I'm sorry.
I lost 12 pounds in 3 weeks.
Good man.
Oh, that's great, Rob. Good job.
Yeah.
Well, I can't. It's not. I mean, I did stop eating less, but that's only because I'm using this Monjaro thing.
Monjaro is not covered by my insurance, and Monjaro's $25 deal for emotionally insured and not covered is now $425 a month. So I had my last Monjaro last week.
I'm even more confident Rob's going to beat your ass, Joe.
He lost 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to turn it into the hill if he doesn't.
Eric,
the mountain will be into the hill.
We'll do it when we're not live anymore. I'll ask you the question.
Yeah. All right, folks. On that note, we're going to wrap up. God bless you. Thank you all. Holy shit. And yes, now, like, Ivy can start talking again.
Ivy can?
Yes.